to contribute. It's not necessary to agree with my view that bulls will bring a much happier Diwali. Disagreements actually bring out a greater clarity. So disagreements are welcome. Uncivil attacks of a personal nature on anyone will not be tolerated, not just me, but with any other fellow panelists or whoever is on the mic. We will have a civilized debate, conversation, discussion that's acceptable. Agreements, disagreements, queries, questions, everything acceptable. Those who will like to speak, contribute something, please send me a mic request and I will grant it and will rotate it. We still have a minute or two to go. I do hope many of you will send out a tweet so that many more people can get in. And we have just about 100 people. I think in the next 5-10 minutes it will go up as a number. So we will start formally. The thing is, many more people coming in later will mean a lot of people will ask the same questions and things will start getting repeated. So can I invite a few people to come on stage and start talking their market perception for the time being, and I step in later as a speaker, more like a moderator. Can I have some mic requests and few people can start talking and we start building a conversation? And those who speak initially, please introduce yourselves first briefly and make points rather than long stories. So that helps collect a lot of points on which we will discuss. So I sent a mic approval to Anjent, but I think his connection has dropped. It's 7:32. Maybe I can while away another minute with the general introductions, and I do hope few people will step forward to talk. Ashish Gulecha, I can notice. Gulecha, he is a passionate market follower. Ashish, you want to come up and talk? Maulik Shahji, you want to come and talk? Please send me the mic request, or anybody else who wants to come and talk. 135 people so far. I'm not sure how many people have sent out a tweet. A lot of people just don't feel like doing anything, and some people do some things to make whatever time we are all going to spend together more productive. Okay, I'll request Rima to be a co-host. I discovered her just 2 days ago on another stock market space, and this young person, I almost said a young kiddo, was very, very effective. So Rima, you are still showing as a speaker. Yeah, she's a co-host. So while if I go, Rima, into too much of a flow and there are other people to speak, you will be, technically you are being called as a co-host, but I want to hand over the responsibilities of being the host to you. And I'll be more like a passionate pleader on the floor. So let me place my thesis. You can either get comfort or you can get profits. And those who do not wait to find mentally comforting situations only then to take decisions will be much more profitable. Maybe I need to paraphrase this line. Those who do not confine themselves to their own chosen comfort zones, and those who can outside the comfort zones also find ways to be comfortable, they will make money in any business in the world, and stock market is the super business. It is the business of all businesses. सब कुछ दुनिया में अच्छा हो जाएगा, कोरोना का वॉर खत्म, डॉलर का मैसिव तेजी खत्म, वर्ल्ड का इन्फ्लेशन मॉडेस्ट हो जाएगा, सब कुछ अच्छा हो जाएगा, तो फिर स्टॉक मार्केट तो ऑलरेडी बढ़ चुका होगा तब तक. Without taking some risk, there is no return possible in any business of the world. If there is any business of the world where everybody knows what is going to happen tomorrow, that is the only situation when there is no risk. Or if there are some people who are not so clear as other people, then these people with lack of clarity or lesser clarity than other people are having a relatively higher risk. So if, say, an ideal world and an ideal business where everybody knows exactly what is going to happen tomorrow exactly, is a world free of risk. But in such an ideal utopian world, If a good news is coming, everybody will be a buyer and nobody will be a seller. If a bad news comes, nobody will be a seller and nobody will be a buyer, everybody is a seller. So in an ideal frictionless world with perfect information, complete understanding and no risks, we will all end up becoming robots. We will become the proverbial sthit pragya that Bhagavad Gita wants us to be mere observers and Krishna will be only operating through us. In such an ideal world, वो तो स्वर्ग है जहाँ कुछ करना ही नहीं है, बैठ के खाना है. Everybody will live an equally good life. But हम तो जमीन पे रहते हैं. We have to operate within risk. That is my primary theorem of investing, trading, whatever. So we will have to take some risks to make any returns. So then the only choice then remains is what kind of risks are suitable for me. For some person, some risk may be unsuitable. For another person, it's a very, very good risk to take. I'm adding Abhishek as a speaker. I'll speak for first 5-10 minutes to lay my thesis, invite other speakers, then question answers, rebuttals, or anything else. So do allow me, guys. While I'm added you to the speaker, when we invite you to speak, only then you unmute your mic. Otherwise, I and Rima will have to keep muting everyone. Abhishek, kindly mute your mic. Otherwise, there will be an echo going on. Okay, so some risk has to be taken. So, what type of risks are suitable for each person? Each person will have to decide. And how do I manage my risk is a decision everybody will have to take. So, in a world full of so many uncertainties, some businesses, some sectors have had concerns. चिप्स का शॉर्टेज आया, ऑटो का स्टॉक जमीन में घुस गया. अब चिप्स का शॉर्टेज खत्म होगा तब आप ऑटो का स्टॉक लोगे तो महिंद्रा एंड महिंद्रा तो 600 वाला 1000 रुपया हो गया. आयशर मोटर कहां से कहां भाग गया. अपोलो टायर किधर से किधर भाग गया. अशोक लेलैंड किधर से किधर भाग गया. So cyclical businesses that will keep on receiving temporary good news or bad news will create opportunities for getting in and get out. If we do not have a look ahead period on which a long term performance streak, management quality, underlying business strength, उनको आप ध्यान में रख करके अगर काम नहीं करोगे, रोज का खबर कागज पढ़ोगे, टीवी देखोगे, सोशल मीडिया को सुनोगे, ट्विटर पे देयर आर लेस नंबर ऑफ क्लाइंट्स टुडे एंड देयर आर मोर बेरोजगार एक्सपर्ट्स. सो गार्बेज इन गार्बेज आउट. In the information age, we are at a very advanced stage of the information age. It is no longer a skill or any competitive advantage to amass more information than other people. Even if you do nothing, information harassment will come and find you. मेल खोलोगे किसी ब्लॉग का एडवर्टाइजमेंट दिखेगा. नेट पे जाओगे कुछ भी देखने के लिए 5 सर्विस प्रोवाइडर का एड दिखेगा. Somebody will send you a newsletter for free. कुछ नहीं करोगे, somebody else is watching the TV, some information will go in your ears. So information in today's time has become a harassment. Everybody is receiving more information than is required. So the real skill is in having the understanding of what is to be ignored. If we are going to keep reacting to every next piece of news, we will never be able to act. And common sense tells us those who are compelled to react will seldom be winners. So speculation is anticipating the future, and you don't anticipate the future merely on imagination. आप past history देखते हो. Even if you are a fundamentally descriptive information based investor, and for trading, since things are much more the mood of the market, फंडामेंटल्स लक्ष्मी जी का क्लियर है. नाम भले ही पिताजी ने लक्ष्मीपति सिंघानिया रख दिया और लक्ष्मी जी का एक ही पति है भगवान विष्णु. बाकी वो चंचल एक जिसका मर्जी आएगा उसका घर में से वो होके गुजरेगी. If somebody has a good nature, Lakshmi ji might stay as a guest for 3 generations. If somebody is bad natured, he will lose his wealth maybe in 3 weeks. But then in dealing with Lakshmi, you have to deal with her moods. So apart from your long-term fundamentals, there will be a lot of moody things Lakshmi ji will do even for fundamental investors. And for shorter-term trading, the mood swings will be even more severe. So for me, I'm just explaining briefly what I'm going to say from where I'm coming from. So I will listen to all news, all fundamental analysis, किसका क्या सोच है, मार्केट में कौन बड़ा इन्वेस्टर क्या कर रहा है, इंस्टीट्यूशन क्या कर रहा है. लास्ट में I will sum up everything. If whatever is agreeing with my charts, I'll take 125% of my tolerable position. If my charts are only telling me something, I'll take 100% of my position. If my chart is also a little bit shaky, I'll take 75% of the position. मैं सुनूंगा सबकी, करूंगा chart की. So from that school, many of the things I will submit may not agree with everyone. So having given this introduction and purposefully consuming some time with this so that more people join in, and by this time I guess most who care really should be in. So my thesis is this dollar surge worldwide. Too many Fapru type gurus around the social media, and because of their influence, even very astute पुराने जमाने के मंझे हुए न्यूज एंकर्स have started talking bullshit. Oh, will RBI raise rates to strengthen the rupee? हैं मैडम, ये क्या लिख दिया आपने? मैडम, ये क्या लिख दिया आपने? Any economy that goes and has a relatively higher inflation than other economies, the fundamentals are very clear. The economy with a higher inflation will have a depreciating currency. Logic is very simple. 100 रुपए में इंडिया में कुछ मिलता है, अज्यूम रूपी डॉलर इज 100:1. 100 रुपये में इंडिया में एक च्युइंगम मिलता है और अमेरिका में $1 में मिलता है. अब अमेरिका में अगर इन्फ्लेशन इज 20% एंड इन इंडिया इट इज 10%, so 1 year down the line, in India that chewing gum should cost 110 rupees, and in America it will cost $1.2. So 1 year later, $1.2 is equal to 110 rupees. So dollar has depreciated by 110, 120 by 110, approximately 11%. 10% inflation आएगा, 11% currency depreciation होना चाहिए. The other fundamental currency valuation method is the economy with a higher inflation would usually meet with a more aggressive response from their central bank, and the rate increments in percentage terms will be more in that economy. So expected interest rate movement over the next 1 year horizon would define the 1 year forward rate of that currency versus the other. ये है fundamental. But last 6 महीने में 7 महीने में दुनिया में क्या हुआ? And that's where, most people who swear by fundamentals end up behaving with the momentum without using the appropriate momentum tools. नहीं, हम तो टेक्निकल एनालिसिस नहीं करेंगे. टेक्निकल एनालिसिस पढ़े लिखों का काम नहीं है. अरे भाई, टेक्निकल एनालिसिस में अनाड़ी लोग घुस गए हैं, गुरु घंटाल लोग घुस गए हैं. इसका मतलब ये थोड़े कि वो अनपढ़ लोगों का काम है. टेक्निकल हम करेंगे नहीं और फंडामेंटल को हम जस्टिफाई कर देंगे. सो व्हाट हैपेंड एट द एंड ऑफ ऑल इकोनॉमिक थ्योरी इज वॉरफेयर, which is never captured, or power play, which is never captured in any economics models. Economics or any social sciences will talk about the theoretical models and assumptions, but in practical life, जिसकी लाठी उसकी भैंस, जो ज्यादा पावरफुल है वो अपनी मनमानी करवाएगा. If America has been the most profligate economy, and for decade after decade they are printing unbelievable amount of deficit dollars, टॉयलेट पेपर होना चाहिए डॉलर का वैल्यू. केतन पारेख ने जो बबल क्रिएट किया था 2000 में, यूएस ट्रेजरी आल्सो दैट सेम बबल, बट बिकॉज ऑफ द लिक्विडिटी दैट केतन पारेख कुड कीप जनरेटिंग बिहाइंड हिमसेल्फ, उसका बबल चलता गया. वन डे इट गॉट पंक्चर्ड. सो वेदर इन आवर लाइफ टाइम और इन द नेक्स्ट लाइफ टाइम, ये भी होगा कि द यूएस डॉलर विल वन डे, this gravy train will collapse. And if this sounds extreme, in 1917 the Deutsche Mark had that same status as the dollar, and Deutsche became totally toilet paper. And there's a very powerful book called When Money Failed. Go and dig it on the internet. It's out of copyright, so I don't have any ethical dilemmas in recommending you that you go and download that book without paying for it. Every other publisher is publishing an out of copyright print. Read that book and you will understand the nature of how money works. And having said this, if in last 6 months there was a concerted, silent, quiet effort, the 100 powerful men and women of this world who are giving shape to our future don't need to come to the television to beam into our drawing rooms what is the collective consensus they are building with, how they are managing the collective crisis. So if America was exporting its inflation by artificially buoying up the US dollar, then lot of social media variety experts kept on propounding that, oh, America Fed rate, interest rate has raised, so now dollar will go up. Come on. If you beat me up with a stick, I'll still not howl. But on this nonsense, I really feel like crying, not just howling. And because these ideas became so popular in the internet, now some well known so called expert TV anchors have also started mumbling something like this. No, last 6 months was a phase of a currency manipulation. It will not become apparent and visible to the masses right now because masses will go through wrong momentum tools but still participate in the momentum of ideas, momentum of thoughts. And instead of participating in momentum of thoughts and ideas, one should really participate in momentum of prices. Momentum of ideas is a popular opinion, but the momentum of prices reflects what is the astute hand doing. So the popular opinion is rate badhega, currency strong hoga, which is bullshit. And now, from the school of charts, of all the six currencies that are part of the dollar index, I find a complete failure to justify any imagination that any of the six currencies in the dollar index will decline any further. So, howsoever complex the chart of the dollar index looks like, if there's no single component in that index that suggests that it still has a chance to decline further, dollar index का बैंड बजने वाला है. And dollar index का बैंड बजने वाला है. That trade should be triggered once it slips below 107.26 in the coming week. Once that happens, we'll see a quick decline to 103, maybe some rebound. We go down to 101, maybe a larger rebound. We'll eventually go down to 97. So a phase when dollar will decline and when all global risk taking, portfolio measurements, exposure measurements by a social practice most of the time is happening in dollars. Without doing anything, the value of those assets will go up in dollar terms. आप देखोगे ट्विटर पे people who are waiting, people from any other political spectrum are waiting to anyhow embarrass Modi, have written the a half dumb-witted story continuously again and again in last 15 days. Oh, मोदी का राज में डॉलर 80 हो गया, रुपया 80 हो गया, 80 रुपये का डॉलर हो गया. अरे भाई, rupee declined against dollar, no doubt, but rupee gained much more against the euro and even more against the GBP. It actually gained 22% against the JPY. So currency movements are relative, but if the cultural flag of economic well-being in the world, howsoever incorrect on the basis of economic realities, continues to be the dollar. डॉलर का आज इतना भयंकर दादागिरी है कि पुणे के पास में 10 साल पहले एक प्रिंटिंग प्रेस पकड़ा गया था that was able to print $1 billion a month fake currency. And how much of fake currency of dollars is existing worldwide, nobody knows. Dollar is moving in faith. So irrespective of that, if markets will in general decline when dollar is rising, so I think that phase is done. So the currency part for which asset markets were keeping getting punished worldwide over the last 8-9 months looks like we are sitting at a very critical fulcrum. Let's wait. Monday ko hota hai, Tuesday ko hota hai. Dollar index cracks, my confidence will go up. But in the meanwhile, Nifty seems to be the smartest of all index contracts. 15,200 का 16,200 पहले ही दिखा दिया. Korea scraping the bottom of the barrel at 52-week low. Dow Jones, Nasdaq, S&P 500 are not far from the 52-week low. Germany, DAX, to me from my chart reading looks like before Diwali we might see a new high in that. S&P 500 being a little more complex chart to avoid getting hounded, not just trolled. Some people get very ugly with us on Twitter and with everybody else. That spoils the taste in the mouth of people who want to have a meaningful dialogue with us. So I'll rather be a little soft in calling it that S&P might test its all-time highs again. If indeed we manage to get down to 97 from 108, that's a 10.5% decline on dollar index. 20% S&P आराम से बढ़ जाएगा. There is a long-term, on an average, a delta of close to 2 between US stock markets and the value of the dollar index. And for emerging markets, the delta on an average is between 2.5 to 2.75. So now indices may still, just laying my initial thesis, indices, the way we read charts, I don't want to get into the exotics of chart reading. It will not be suitable for this more coffee table kind of a large social conversation we are having. The indices may have lot of in between noises like 200-300 पॉइंट झटके से 2 घंटे में गिर जाएगा. The atmosphere of fear. See, indices most of the time are projecting the market sentiment, and we don't need to be slaves of the index. If we are into active money management as individuals, or even for our clients, our duty and our responsibility is truly to go and find sectors and stocks where outsized returns compared to the risk seem fairly likely. तब बजाज फाइनेंस और बजाज फिनसर्व में बदनाम हूं ये बोलने के लिए कि 10-year वैल्यूएशन साइकिल इज डन, अगले 5 साल में वो ऑल टाइम हाई लौटेगा ही नहीं, गर्दन दांव पे रखकर बात कर सकता हूं. बट इवन इन दैट सच ए डाई हार्ड बेयर ऑन दीज टू स्टॉक्स ओवर ए नेक्स्ट 5-year horizon, इतना ओवरसोल्ड हो गए, getting a 35, 50, 40% rebound in even these Bajaj twins does not look difficult at all. Or if the cement stocks got thrown to dogs and all of them reversed and have started rallying up, or say we caught this auto rally in May. So just some past successes should not become my argument. So I think the sector rotations are coming back into place. Autos have run up their rally. और अगले 4, 5, 6, 7 दिन में जो भी लास्ट मलाई निकलना है उसके बाद exits will happen in them. Tata Motors is a laggard within that space. And IT that has been totally in the bondooks. I think it's scraping the bottom of the barrel. We need to first get a reversal confirmation, which can happen in the next some days. If that happens, we'll bet big again on IT. Irrespective of our call that if dollar index reverses या 80 का रुपया 80 का डॉलर हो सकता है साल भर में 72 भी हो जाएगा तो आई विल नॉट बी शॉक्ड. मतलब क्या अमर पट्टा लिखवाया है क्या डॉलर ने कि बाकी सबको झटका लगेगा डॉलर को नहीं लगेगा? Everything is a cycle, and that we capture through the use of charts. Subjective opinions का कोई जगह नहीं हमारे यहाँ. And then even if the dollar will strengthen, go and study the data. Last 20 years data says 65% of variation on IT stock price is explained by Nifty, and only 35% is explained by the movement in rupee dollar. So at most there will be lead lag effect. Stocks will move with stocks, and it's a totally wrong assumption कि dollar अगर if rupee is very weak, IT companies का earnings power बढ़ जाएगा. No, their bidding power will only go up. No IT company CFO gets paid a salary or a bonus to be a gambler on currency. The day any contract is struck, the only mandate they have is they have to hedge it, and within the hedge, everybody plays not more than 10 or 15% of their exposure in just terms of managing the rollovers. IT companies, if they became currency traders, they'll become stocks traded at a P ratio of 2. And many IT companies will also see bankruptcy because the currency market affords huge amounts of leverage. No IT company runs a treasury desk for taking currency risk. They are only hedging it. And hence, the only gain IT companies will have if the rupee is becoming weak is that the continuity of their contracts because of their relative competitiveness over just the next 6-month window will assure stability of business. It does not mean profits बढ़ जाएगा. They are marking their books in rupee terms. यूएस में भी अगर ऑनशोर हायरिंग भी कर रहा है, चाहे इंडिया से भेज रहा है, चाहे आयरलैंड से लेके भेज रहा है, ट्रायल बैलेंसेस, बैलेंस शीट्स, बजट्स, फोरकास्ट, रिस्क मैनेजमेंट, एवरीथिंग इज हैपनिंग इन रूपी टर्म्स. अभी तक इंडियन आईटी इंडस्ट्री का इतना ग्लोबलाइजेशन नहीं हुआ है कि एनी सिंगल एचआर डिपार्टमेंट और एनी सिंगल फाइनेंशियल कंट्रोलर इज play only for international global investor relationship management. They are doing their recasting their accounts in US GAAP terms and doing all that accounting. So that's a wrong assumption. Next point. So I think the movement of March 2020 to May 2021 was one where innocent money making happened. A lot of newcomers kept on coming in, market kept on rising, those newcomers made easy money. पढ़ा लिखा जो आदमी था वो कोई 9,000 के इंडेक्स में निकल गया, कोई 11,000 में निकल गया. हमारे जैसे 1.5 ने 12,000 में लॉन्ग काट के शॉर्ट मारा, हाथ पैर तुड़वाए 13,000 तक, और 13,000 के बाद से तेजी वापस चालू की. बट दैट फेज ऑफ easy money making by suspending your intellect, just go with the flow, वो period चला गया. Stock picking का कोई value ही नहीं था उस period में. It was just participate or don't participate. And now this 8-9 months period of correction is going to set up a much higher base for markets from that March panic low. And now the adult investing era will come back again here. People like Avinash Gorakshar will be sought after much more. Stock picking will be a virtue again. Understanding business rotations, sector rotations, picking up the right stocks will make money. Index यहाँ से नेक्स्ट 16,500 हो जाएगा, फिर 15,900 हो जाएगा, मंडे को 16,100 का गैप अप खुलेगा, 3 घंटे में वापस 15,900 हो जाएगा, फिर 16,600 होकर के वापस 15,900 हो जाएगा, 17,400 होकर 16,600 हो जाएगा. We don't know whether index can go to 18,600 or not. That possibility remains open. It cannot be forecasted or betted on for right now. But if things keep on opening up, डॉलर घटता ही चला गया, रशिया वॉर खत्म हो जाएगा, 19,000 की निफ्टी हो जाएगी. नहीं हुआ वो तो नहीं होगी. निफ्टी 19,000 जाएगी कि नहीं जाएगी. If I can find stocks and sectors today that hold out a potential to give me returns equivalent of a 20,000 nifty, even if nifty fails to go above 17,000, then what is my dharma and what is my duty towards the capital at my disposal or capital under my management or protection? जहाँ रिटर्न मिल सके वो सेक्टर और स्टॉक्स को पिकअप करना है. So I do notice a lot of such stocks and sectors now, and over a time, say within the whole oil and gas spectrum, windfall gain लगा दिया, MRPL और आपका चेन्नई पेट्रो का बैंड बच गया. कल को अगर वो विंडफॉल गेन का थोड़ा सा रिवर्सल आएगा एंड द स्टॉक्स अगेन शूट अप इनटू वेरी क्विक ट्रेडिंग पंट बैक इनटू न्यू हाइस, तो खेलोगे या आप निफ्टी का वैल्यूएशन क्या है, यूक्रेन का वॉर 5 साल खत्म नहीं होगा. जिनके पास बैठ के निठल्ला चिंतन करने का टाइम है, जिनके पास pontification is the most productive activity available, they will do that. But those who have a responsibility to run money on the markets, they'll have to run their money where the money is moving, and they'll have to move with the move. So I definitely don't find virtue in being a crowd thinking bear at this moment. Very, very heavy amount of defattening of the markets have happened. Index को छोड़ दो, इंडेक्स के बाहर जो डैमेज हो चुका है, and too many stocks and sectors with patterns that suggest selectively getting into buys here can produce 50%, 70% kind of returns also on a good number of stocks. So I'll pause my initial ambience setting here. This is my thesis. Everybody can disagree with it. No need to agree with it. And those who disagree will bring greater light to me and hopefully to others. And I'll now request Rima to perhaps, get the 3 people who have requested to speak. Please ask them to briefly introduce themselves in at least 2-3 lines. Make some key points. We'll take Q&A later, and hopefully more people will join into this conversation. It's not supposed to be a pravachan session. Sushil Kedia's consulting without any fees. These sessions we do to know more people and to be challenged to find more light than we can find ourselves. So मेरा भी स्वार्थ है कि दूसरों को मैं सुनूं, and thanks for bearing with me patiently. So over to you, Rima, and I think you'll do a far better job than me.
Hi, Sushil sir, and hi everyone as well. Sir, can I go? मेरा question पूछने का time कब आएगा? When can I go ahead with my
जब
questions
सबके
for 10
questions,
minutes?
जब हम when we'll take questions, then we'll take your question first. You as the
Perfect.
you as the
Okay.
defined co-host and in de facto the host, you can demand whatever you want, but turn by turn. Let's keep a structure. Let's hear out uh,
Yes, yes.
Abhishek, Rohit, and then Akash. I think that's the order in which we have added them. We'll request speakers to initially be just at most 2 minutes, so that we can add more speakers, and then we'll go to Q&A.
Perfect. So, hello, Abhishek. Please give us a brief introduction of yourself and tell us what are your views and thoughts on the market at the moment. So, over to you, Abhishek. Abhishek, are you around? Okay, if you're not around, we'll probably circle back. So, Rohit, are you around?
Yes, hi Rima.
Hi. So could you please go ahead, like Kedia sir said, brief introduction and your outlook on the market at the moment.
Yes. Hi. Hi. Good evening, everyone. My name is Rohit Mohan. I am a private banker. Been there for last 20 years. I am a long-term investor. I advise clients on long-term investing as well. So I had a few thought points that I thought I'll speak in front of this audience. And one was on this comparison that many of us keep doing between US and India. And I think one point that many of us don't talk about is that US is significantly more volatile right now. I think as Mr. Kedia was talking about, they printed money and uh, otherwise also the nature of the market is significantly more volatile than what India really is. So I think in terms of conventionally they are a developed market. Conventionally they are a market that leads the way capital flows into the world happens. But I think on that point, one needs to look at India being a far more stable in terms of relatively linear growth sort of a economy. In addition to that, I think what we also need to look at is that there are when one talks about the slowdown in the US or maybe some data points like people traveling for holidays and all, they've been reducing. But in India, it doesn't seem to be the case. Whether you want to book a movie ticket in a PVR or you go to the Bombay airport at 6:30 a.m., 7 a.m. for the flight next day, I think it's all full, and I think the data is proving that. So I think in terms of the overall consumption patterns, India is not really slowing down as much, and then that's also because I think during the COVID period we didn't really release as much liquidity in the hands of people as was done in the West. So we are far better in that regard. That's one of the points that I thought I'll share with everyone. Also, what happens is that I think Indian investors have also suffered because we gave into this concept of BAP investing, which is like buy at any price, which is like the entire last decade. We were buying the favorite stocks. I think a large number of us, while there were some investors who were buying in smaller caps and mid caps as well, but I'm talking about the large part of the market. I think everybody was justifying a 75p, 80p, 100p because the growth was there and all. And I think in the last few years, especially the last 2 years, we've suffered from that. And I believe these companies, as Mr. Kedia was just mentioning about Bajaj Finance, I believe that there could be challenges in looking at such companies because of a couple of reasons. One is that uh, there are new entrants to set play fields, and I think many of the promoters, many of the founders are doing a phenomenal job as well. So I think we'll see new winners coming out, and also many a times like I was hearing a conference on banking talking about HDFC Bank and the fact that HDFC Bank is now entering into mortgages in a bigger way for obvious reasons and all. And I think many investors said that I don't want to pay them more than 2 times book value for a business like mortgages or corporate loans. We were comfortable with HDFC Bank because they were able to do high margin. Unsecured or maybe a personal finance sort of a business, and so I think there will be derating in a manner of speaking for a lot of these so-called and many even money managers like myself. I think we did get into this comfort zone that okay, let me buy those the famous stocks, and I think they'll keep continue compounding, and they did. So that is one thing that's certainly not going to work for India. Uh, I think what we need to look out as investors, and even if some of us are advisors, is that we need to now go look at bottom up and look at good businesses, maybe businesses which have good moats around them. People keep talking about them, and the value that they're available at. If I just quote an example, not that I'm saying I'm recommending or something, but let's say something like I was looking at something like a say a Blue Dart or a something like a say a Muthoot Finance and all smaller companies, but very high growth companies. Lenders, especially, I think they could do well in this the next 3 to 5 years. We could have a great run there, and I think except for the large ones and all, I think currently the good lenders available at 2 times, 2.5 times book, showing great yields in their portfolios and all. One has to look beyond the Nifty. As well as the large cap space when it comes to investing. One has to dive deep. The only caveat here is that there are sectors and all which conventional investors might not understand fully well. like the healthcare. It's best to leave those sectors to the experts because technicals one might not be able to understand as well. So we might not understand what is going wrong or what is going right unless and until we are advised properly. So while one must look at a few quarters of results for many of these companies, you must look at the annual reports, you must look at the consistency of what they've been delivering, the promoters' track record, and all. And there are just too many gems right now. And Nifty, again, I think people keep talking about the P's, whether it's going to be 18 times next year, 20 times. I think the fact that the components of Nifty have changed so much and they've included all those high P companies, it's always going to be expensive. But I think it's a broader market, as Mr. Kedia was saying in the beginning, is where the correction has been significantly sharper, and that is where the value is really there. Lastly, I think what investors also need to look at, especially the investors who've come in the last 5-7 years, is that we have to, if we like a company, let's start small, and I think let's just continue buying them slowly over a period of time, because the real returns, in my opinion, are made between 5 and 10 years of investment. I'm not talking from a trading point of view, but I'm talking from multi-bagger sort of returns. So I think it's best that if we like a company, we need to, because almost very, very often, I think patience runs out for investors, and that leads to a lot of potential wealth destruction. So India is in a good space relatively, in my opinion. Globally also, if you compare it with our compatriots, Brazil and China, and yeah, I think we have significantly better regulation. We have much better overall corporate governance. At least the perception is much better. So we just need to look out for the red flags, and good companies at good values at this point in time in the market could yield very high returns. I would say 20-25% compounding should be possible in many of these.
That's a great initial expression of thought, Rohit.
Thanks a
I
lot.
hope you stay further into the conversation.
I will.
Let's pull in a few more speakers. Initial 2 to 3 minutes max. Lay out your thesis if you have one. If you have a question, mention it briefly, and when the turn comes for taking questions, we'll come back to you. So, Rohit, I'm putting you on a pause to create more thought initially, create a larger canvas to paint together. So, Rima, who's next? Invite that person next.
Sir, I think Parimal ji next day, and after that Chetan ji and Khyati. Chetan ji, good to see you here, but Parimal ji se thoda sun lete pehle.
And one request, Rima, anybody who thinks he's so privileged that he will neither put up even a fake picture of a fake human being and a fake name, but it's some impersonal name, impersonal handle without even a DP, then please stay private. Please just keep on pilfering what we are doing. But we want to interact with at least who want to project themselves as human beings. So ye ekdam se anonymous handles will not take as speakers. It should the need for privacy and the need for openness has to be mutual. Let's have conversation as equals. Okay.
Yes, sir. Perfect, sir. Totally makes sense. So,
इतना ही
Parimal ji,
प्राइवेसी चाहिए कि सोशल मीडिया पे भी बुर्का डाला है तो फिर आप चुपचाप सुनो यार, आपकी हमें सुनने में इंटरेस्ट नहीं है.
Yes, and since we are also being very open about our identity, so it's only fair that you also do. So anyway, getting back to the topic, Parimal ji, welcome. Please tell us about yourself and put your outlook on the market in a brief, 2 to 3 minutes at max. Go ahead, Parimal ji.
So thanks Rima ji, thanks Kedia sir, नमस्ते आपको. बहुत दिनों के बाद एक अच्छा स्पेस हो रहा है सर. मैं नागपुर से हूँ और मैं एक टेलीकॉम कंपनी में काम कर चुका हूँ 16 साल और बहुत ही एमेच्योर टाइप का इन्वेस्टर, ज़्यादा कुछ समझता नहीं है सर मुझको, ना फंडामेंटल ना टेक्निकल. इनफैक्ट ट्विटर पे भी 1 साल पहले ही आया हूँ और जितना ज़्यादा डेटा दिखता है उतना ज़्यादा कन्फ्यूजन होता है. तो सर मैं सुन के ही समझने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ अभी, और मैं आपको काफी टाइम से फॉलो कर रहा हूँ सर.
Sir, let's not lose time in pleasantries. On internet, everybody is sexy, billionaire, and has an IQ of above 140. I want to extract what's your market thinking. आपका क्या सोच है बाजार पे?
सर मैं तो रोज रात को स्पेस सुनता हूँ. एक ग्रुप है जो बहुत एक्स्ट्रा ऑर्डिनरी पेसिमिस्टिक है और एक ग्रुप है जो एक्स्ट्रा ऑर्डिनरी ऑप्टिमिस्ट नहीं है बट कॉशियसली ऑप्टिमिस्ट है. तो आई थिंक सर मैं नागपुर का अगर मैं अपना व्यू बताऊं तो जो भी अपने रिलेटिव्स या दोस्तों के साथ मैं इंटरेक्ट करता हूं तो अभी भी कोई फियर उतना एक्स्ट्रा ऑर्डिनरी है नहीं, और ना ही बहुत लालची है. तो थोड़ा सा न्यूट्रल वाले फेज में मुझको मेरी नागपुर के जितने भी मेरे लोगों का इंटरेक्शन होता है वो समझ में आता है। अगर मैं नागपुर की बात करूं सर, तो अगर आप कोई भी रेस्टोरेंट में चले जाएं, फ्राइडे सैटरडे संडे 1 घंटे का वेटिंग है। आई मीन एनी एनी डैम डैम होटल, आप कहीं पे भी चले। मैं डी मार्ट में शॉपिंग करता हूँ, डी मार्ट में कोई भी प्रकार का वॉक इन कम नहीं हुआ है। तो मुझको ऐसा लगता है सर, जो आपका व्यू है कि कहीं ना कहीं ये टाइम शायद स्टॉक्स लेने का है। और पर्सनली सर, मेरे को उतना टेक्निकल या फंडामेंटल नॉलेज है नहीं, तो जो स्टॉक्स समझ में आते हैं उसमें एक आईटीसी और अपने को यूनाइटेड स्पिरिट्स, वही समझ में आया कि ये ठीक ठाक है। अदरवाइज बहुत ज्यादा एक्सपोजर है नहीं सर अपना। तो
Thank
सुनने
you,
में ही सर मैं
Parimal ji,
लर्न
for
करना
making
चाहूंगा।
this. Thank you, Parimal ji, for making this brief contribution.
जी सर।
Stay back. We'll discuss more. Let's have more contributions.
जी सर, जी सर, थैंक यू।
Sir, next Chetan ji the, so let's just hear from him. So, hi Chetan ji, good to see you here.
Thank you, Rima. I heard you've been hosting some good spaces, and thank you, Kedia ji. What I would like to say in my thesis is that I look at the broader picture and all, and it's like when the
Chetan ji,
shoe.
if you do not mind, two-line introduction, even though I went and saw your profile, everybody else may not. Just
Okay.
tell us briefly about yourself, and then we'll like to hear your thoughts.
Okay, sir, sorry, sir. I thought we just had to make it a little fast. I've been 2 decades in the market, but broadly more on the mutual fund side, first as an investor and then as a professional in the banking and financial services industry. And now I'm doing something on my own for the past 4 or 5 years. So
Where are you based?
I'm based in Chandigarh at present.
Okay.
And
Let's hear your market thesis.
yeah, my market thesis is that I look at the broader, obviously the broader market, not too much stock specific. So from that thing, I like to follow the thesis that when the shoe shine boy recommends stocks, you should get out of the market. So I think even in October, November, people like you and everyone was a little cautious on the markets, and the markets looked a little over expensive. At this point, coming back to the present, I think the market would be neutral to fairly valued or slightly expensive maybe on a if the earnings do not come through. So I would look broadly at the earnings and all, and if there's growth in India, I think we should be in a sweet spot in 2023, except if there's a global meltdown. That I don't see any signs of just now, but that's one thing. With commodity prices and oil prices having come down, that's a positive for India. So India looks like in a better spot than the Western countries' economies, except, like I said, if there's a meltdown globally or if the FIs start pulling out en masse, and the DIIs, the domestic institutions, start slowing down. Till now, I don't see any signs of the slowing down in the domestic institutions, but we can wait and watch. So I would, if I had to put in some money just now, I would stagger the entries and maybe in 2023. My last point of my thesis is that I think it was projected that we might be a $5 trillion economy by 2024, but now I think reports suggest that 2026 to 2027. So if we take the market cap at 100% of GDP or 80% or whatever, so maybe 4 or 5 years down the line, we should be doubled from here if things pan out the way, if it becomes the $5 trillion economy. Thank you.
Chetan, Rima, just one more request. Anybody who thinks his tweets are so privileged that he has to keep a protected account, not acceptable as a speaker. Anybody without a DP or a human name, not acceptable as a speaker. And feel free there on to manage this house with your abilities.
Yes, sir, done, sir. Will take care of that. Yes. Chetan ji, were you done or?
Yeah. I had finished. I said that's my end of the thesis. Is about that $5 trillion economy. If we come to that in the next 4 or 5 years, obviously, then we should be double of these levels. But provided we get there, so obviously I look at earnings and growth, and I've already given all the factors which I'm looking at.
Yeah. That was a cogent, brief, sweetly said thing. So shall we get Abhishek Pandey ji, who lost his connection? He was the first person to opt in. Abhishek ji, please briefly introduce yourself and share your market thesis with.
We lost him again, I think. I cannot see him. Abhishek ji, we've lost you again, but no, I cannot see him here. So probably we'll get back to him, Chetan, Kedia ji, when he's back. Can we quickly hear from Khyati if you're around?
Yeah, hi Rima. Thank you for the
Hi,
opportunity.
Kathy.
Hi, I am a chartered accountant from Mumbai, and I am a external consultant to corporates on risk and strategy. I am a perpetual learner in the market, and Twitter has been a for all its flaws, it has been an amazing tool for hearing out people who are so much more experienced and so long been spending years in the market. So I think it's a great opportunity to be here. My view in a very short, few lines is that the concern or the biggest area of concern basically has been the flight of money for two reasons. The dollar is strengthening so much that it makes more sense. Money does not go on emotions, it just flows like water to the you know the best return risk return matrix that's available in the market. And with a dollar at this going so strong, and the bond yields getting so attractive, obviously money will flow there. But going forward, I think the dollar has now entered a zone where it is hurting itself. And inflation, I think everybody is talking about inflation, but I think what is being totally missed out by everyone is that this is not a purely liquidity led inflation or purely supply constrained inflation. There is also a demand side which is very strong, which is why despite a lot of efforts to control or subdue prices, the demand is so organically strong that at least in India, that it's getting more and more difficult to curb consumption. So I think that's a good sign, according to me, that the demand is organic and the demand is strong, and for that reason we'll see a good earning season. And for that reason, I am not at all bearish, if I would say so. But I think we should but this is not 2020 to 2022 kind of a bull run where you can just pick out any stock and you will make money. Here I think we need to now tread very carefully and select the quality businesses that are making strong business cases, and are doing very well on the ground. And I think a lot of money can be made and is being made in the market, so there is no need for undue pessimism, according to me. Thank you so much.
Rima, having left the rights to manage the house to you, I'll take your permission. I want to differ a little bit with Khyati on a few points. Is this the right time to interject, or
So
we first
let's
take all
go
the
ahead,
thoughts?
please. नहीं सर
Khyati,
थॉट्स ले लिया आई थिंक हमने सबसे नो योगेश जी बाकी बट लेट्स गेट डन विद दिस मतलब लेट्स हियर योर काउंटर थॉट्स देन वील गो टू द
निपटा
नेक्स्ट
के चलते हैं, अकाउंट पेंडिंग नहीं रखते हैं.
जी बिल्कुल यस
So Khyati, your idea that money will move like water without any emotions, and that yields are rising in America, so money will keep going there. I totally disagree with it. The reason for that is, if yields are keeping on rising, say forget about the American dadagiri. The American दादागिरी of last 40 years, सबसे दुनिया का दिवालिया देश है, सबसे profligate country है, सारी दुनिया में फसाद मचाता है, दूसरों को टेररिस्ट बोलता है, सबके जाके सर पे बम गिराता है, कारपेट बॉम्बिंग करता है, largest deficits they run. All of these are very very bad long term fundamentals for which they should deserve the status they have of reserve money. That is why maybe a lot of global geopolitics drama is happening, and many countries have tried creating alternative currencies. उसको छोड़ो side में. But just focus on a stable economy, even within India. If yields are keeping on rising, is there a time you will allocate more money to bonds? No. Your bond portfolio will depreciate a lot more. You will keep on gaining some income till the time, additional income till the time yields are rising. But you'll lose much more on your bond portfolio because bonds will fall in value. So that's not a good argument. And I agree with you that there is a underlying deep demand, postponement of demand that happened out of COVID. And maybe, this world faced this inflation because of logistics displacement and this insane inflation chasing by central banks will not work. And perhaps because of that, and it will never get discussed publicly. We have to sense it, smell it. Whether we will be considered right or wrong, we have to have our personal thing. But the incessant manner in which gold has been kept suppressed. If this inflation is so real, how come gold is not performing? Gold is the largest manipulated contract on the face of this earth. There is more digital gold or derivatives based gold exposure than physical gold available in the vaults of central banks. And by suppressing gold, a lot of currency market management can be done in connivance with various central banks. And the whole effort to let the dollar rise is to allow this sudden spike of inflation within the US to get exported and distributed a little more evenly across the world. So many chart patterns broke beyond explanations on how euro came down so much. So, beyond economics, or rather beyond the economics books, is the book of politics, and beyond the book of politics is power and persuasion. So जिसकी लाठी उसकी भैंस. अभी यूएस और डॉलर की लाठी चलती है, and by if other economy, see, Russia is directly facing the war and America is the next proxy warrior. Both these currencies have gone through the roof. During this war, these currencies should have weakened. So in 2008, when the first big financial crisis our generation saw, the largest flight of capital in the history of the world happened. And everybody was anticipating this flight of capital will happen out of America. And when the panic buttons were getting pressed in treasuries and hedge fund dealing rooms and investment bank dealing rooms in 2008, I do distinctly remember those conversations. I was trading a large book at a very large hedge fund. The whole conversation across dealing rooms got totally jagged because the largest flight of capital inside America happened. So indeed, the power and influence of the invisible hands creates moods of the markets. So that's maybe for another session, another day on how markets work. But to say that dollar will keep on rising, my current thesis is we are sitting on the cusp of the end of this 6 month compulsion allow the dollar to rise for inflation to percolate into other economies is done with, and dollar has perhaps already made a reversal on this Thursday and a bearish candle on Friday. And if over the next 1 or 2 days we slip under 107.26 on the dollar index, we'll see perhaps a 10% slide in dollar index. That may justify a 25% rise in stock markets. So that's the thesis. I would like to somebody to come and challenge me कि तू बकवास कर रहा है. And if I cannot be challenged enough, then I'll find greater conviction in playing my thesis over the next few weeks. But yes, money does move like water, but the largest amount of emotions mankind attaches is to money and nothing else. So there is a huge amount of emotional play, there is a huge amount of crowd psychology in all markets. We should all be very, very dispassionate about money, but that's it should be. But in the real world, almost everyone is excessively emotional about money. So that was my only difference. Rimaji, please invite the next speaker. And Murtaza, don't mind. If you feel you should have so much privacy on Twitter that your even account is locked, we are not comfortable with who you are. So we will not be able to accept your request. Nothing personal against you, none of us knows it. But we just want to follow a certain decorum that we all meet with equality and certain amount of openness. So Murtaza, sorry, you can be a listener in this space, but we will not accept your request. Rima, please get anybody else who wants to speak in. And those who feel hesitant that I'm still new at markets, believe you me, innocence actually allows people to make a lot more money. And an innocent mind that is not afraid of being wrong might illuminate everyone much more. So, Sonal Dabraji, feel free to send your mic request and we'll be happy to hear your thoughts. And Sridhar, why are you just quietly listening? I want to hear your thoughts as well. Because if we don't get in many speakers, we are already 55 minutes into this chat. Maybe we'll, for the next 15 minutes, take some questions or if there are any rebuttals. So, Yogesh, you go next. And in that meantime, if you find many more people stepping in, fine. Otherwise, after Yogesh, you will take some questions. Over to you, Yogesh.
Yeah, thank you, Sushil ji. Am I audible? Rima, can you please confirm?
Yes,
you are very much audible.
Yeah. Thank you, Sushil ji. We meet again. So thank you for this opportunity. So very quickly, I will try to give some slightly different perspective, neither technical nor fundamental, in the sense that my approach is not direct investing for compliance reasons. I am a securities market lawyer, and my area of advisory involves predominantly advising listed companies as a specialty or securities market intermediaries. So for obvious reasons, we are generally debarred from taking any direct exposure, very rightly so. So therefore, the only option available is mutual fund route. Yes, not so glamorous, but having said which, insofar as I am concerned, I don't very much get disturbed with the noise around me. Yes, I definitely listen to every view, uh, with whether it is whichever corner it is. Yes, I research a lot, read a lot of it for last 20 plus years. So my thought process is as follows: that whether it is COVID or geopolitical issues or war, etc., even if we die, what will I do having the funds lying in my bank account? So I might as well deploy them in the market, try to see whether some inflation beating returns or the GDP growth exceeding returns can be made out of it. So that is my thought process. And one of the first speaker did mention about large cap. Yes, my philosophy is also predominantly trying to invest either in sectoral funds or mid cap or small cap, but each to its own, and it all depends on your risk profile, your risk appetite, etc. So I think the way I look at it, and yes, I can be wrong, definitely. Feel free to counter me, but the way I see it is that if I mean, uh, which are other countries around us, or for that matter, today as we speak, the US markets as well, which are the other countries which we believe in next 10 years will grow the way India will grow? What are the opportunities available? So nothing much comes to my mind. Uh, so therefore, I think, and I am, for lack of proper word, I think I am very bullish the way forward. And when COVID came in and we all thought that we all will die and there is no tomorrow, I increased my SIP amounts and have not required to redeem anything. So I think, I mean, I am personally bullish. Yes, in hindsight, I can be proven wrong. So be it. It's fine. So I thought I will share this slightly different perspective. Thank you, Sushilji. Thank you, Rima. Over to you guys.
Thank you, Yogesh, for your very concise views. So, Sushilji, would you have any counter, any comments on that, or shall we go and have a little Q&A?
No, you still have edit Sukhdevji. Let's hear him out, and then
Oh,
let's give
yes,
a
yes,
second
yes,
round to
yes.
our panelists briefly if they have any further points or rebuttals. And only if people raise hands for questions, we stretch the space by another 15 minutes after the second round is exhausted, and else we do Tata bye bye.
Perfect. So, hi,
गपशप का तो कोई लिमिट
Sukhdevji.
नहीं है, रात भर करते रहो, क्या फायदा.
Yes. So, Sukhdevji, brief introduction of yourself and then your outlook on the markets at the moment.
And I notice Irina B, she writes on her profile that she's a crypto lawyer. I think cryptos have collapsed like anything, and I'm sensing a bottom formation process in place there too. कि अब crypto को भी और नहीं गिरना है. In case Irina wishes to speak something in her sense on the crypto markets, I'm extending her an invitation. Sukhdev ji, over to you.
Sukhdevji, are
Sukhdev
you
ji,
around
please,
or?
Sukhdev ji, kindly unmute your mic and share your thoughts. Maybe he's too new to spaces or is
Yeah,
busy. Okay.
yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, today I'm new. Thank you a lot, and thank you, Rimaji, also. I am Shukdev from Tiruvananthapuram, Kerala, and I am an amateur trader and investor. I'm investing. I'm in the market since last 8 years. Actually, I started marketing much before, but in the middle, I gave up it, and again, I reintroduced here in the year 15. So it's my 8th in the year in the market. I saw the ups and downs of it. My question is that which sector, like FMGC, is I think is in high, but what is about the auto sector, sir? Can I get some glimpses here about the auto sector? That what is the future, near future trend of this sector will be in our
Common sense would
country?
say that, auto sector that bottomed out in March and has given the most sterling performance in the most bleak atmosphere. Every descriptive thinker who would track the news, chips ka shortage hai, too much bottleneck, and the bet was this bottleneck will also undo itself. as all bottlenecks do, and there's too much of a backlog in order book. So now with auto numbers that will come and everybody is just going to react. Markets, because markets are only a part of life, and if in life those who take actions get rewarded by those who react to them. So same way, those who took action of investing in the long-term auto merits when they were ridiculously cheap just because of the chip shortage, bahut thok diya tha auto ko. It's time to take the money from the table. That's what we are doing. We won't regret even if after our selling auto stocks broadly go up another 5-7% higher. But I think it's time to take profits. It's definitely too early to say that it's a time to short or something. But it's time to take profits on autos and move the money to some other sectors that have gotten butchered out of temporary developments for a similar 30-35% kind of gain over the next 3-4 months. So we are moving out of auto broadly, except for Tata Motors. Every other auto stock we are putting on a sell.
I am holding Tata Motors, and my question is, should I book profit or wait for more?
The stock specific recommendations on an open forum without understanding your suitability, whether you are a leverage trader, long term investor. But for our short term trading book, we are seeing Tata Motors as the laggard in the sector, and Tata Motors may rise over the next week or even more to create that ambience for the whole auto sector, while exits in other auto stocks will begin. And exits by large investors doesn't mean a downtrend will come immediately. This is the time for big players and very fast players to take profits. प्रॉफिट आया पहले उसको खाएंगे, और अगर ट्रेंड रिवर्सल आ गया तो शॉर्ट करेंगे. बट दिस टाइम टू बुक प्रॉफिट्स इन ऑटोज एक्सेप्ट टाटा मोटर्स.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for your. Thank you, sir.
Sir, we have some new people. Let's get to them probably briefly. So I think Rahul was next. So Rahul, if you're around, would you like to go ahead with your brief introduction and your views to markets at the moment?
Hello, Kedia sir.
Yes, we can hear.
Yeah. So this is the first time I'm speaking to you, sir. So I'm Rahul from Kolkata. I'm in the wire product manufacturing business, and I'm also an investor. So, sir, what I feel that the infra EPC sector looks quite attractive at the current levels with solid order books and circling balance sheet at such and at such juicy valuations. Sir, I think there is a huge value creation opportunity there because all the weaker players are gone, sir. So.
Rahul, since I choose to always respond and speak through technicals, even though I try to learn and hear everything, from the school of technical analysis, I don't find anything by which I can oppose your idea. And since we are all taking risks, if an idea cannot be rejected, then it's a worthwhile risk to take.
Okay,
so I agree with you. L&T ho ya AIA engineering ho, all of these stocks are all looking good for fairly smart returns in a short period of time. I agree with you. Anything more you wish to contribute to this conversation, Rahul?
Sir, actually, I don't have much technical knowledge, sir.
फंडामेंटल से बोलो, टेक्निकल से बोलो, दिल से बोलो, बिना दिमाग के बोलो. यहाँ दिमाग और दिल की जरूरत नहीं. What you feel, you should share.
Yeah, sir, this infra EPC sector and even the proxies of infra, sir, they have not done very good. Like they have not given any returns for the last 10-15 years.
Like what do you mean by proxies of infra?
Like sir, ये अपना ये हो गया सर, वेल्डिंग सेक्टर हो गया, जैसे एसाब हो, ये सब कंपनीज हो, तो ये सब में सर अच्छा दिखता है according to the fundamentals and all. So
yeah,
I feel
I cannot disagree with you. I cannot disagree with you. So let's rotate the mic to some other speakers, Rahul. We've broadly got the gist of what your contribution is. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
To accommodate more people, only for that reason, I'll remove you from speakers.
Okay, thank you, sir. Yeah.
So I think Sandeep has raised his hand and he wants to speak for a while, and after that we'll go to Paramjit ji. Go ahead, Sandeep.
Thank you, Sushil sir. It's a great honor to have interaction with you.
Let's not lose time in creating a
Sir,
mutual admiration society.
Yes,
यहाँ हम
right,
लोग स्पेस पे बॉक्सिंग करने के लिए मिल रहे हैं, गले मिलने के लिए नहीं मिल रहे.
Right, sir, right, sir.
ग्लव्स
Very
पहनिए और
rightly
घूसा
said.
मारिए.
Right, sir. So simply, I'll keep it very crisp. I am Sandeep Sabarwal. I am an head of investor relation for HCL, and now I am in part-time trading. A full-time finance controller, but part-time trading. Now, thanks for giving this opportunity. I want to just express my view around how the markets are, what things are behaving. My view, maybe some may like, some may not like. My view is, it's a tug of war that is going on at the minute. We've seen a huge bull run of lately. There are no challenges in the fundamentals of Indian corporate or as in India and in the political scenario as well. So the fundamentals are strong, but having said that, the thrust is missing. The thrust which can take us to a abnormal or different orbital. At the moment, it is missing. So in next 6 to 8 months, my view is that on a Nifty, Bank Nifty, or for the matter, auto sector, or on the fundamental sectors, is more or less range bound. Nifty might range in from 2000 plus and 2000 minus. That would be the range. Bank Nifty might be in the range of 5000 plus and 5000 minus. So it is a range in this particular year, and the next year perhaps would be in a range of consolidation. Gold, if I look at my views on gold, is the gold is seeing an absolute decline, which is very perplexing for many in Indian scenario, who only track Indian scenario, rather has a very limited view around the global scenario side of things. The exposure to global or interaction with any of the global players or counterparts tells you that because of Russia-Ukraine war, there is a lot of liquidation payments that are gold is used as a hedge to make the payments, and hence we are seeing a sell-off in gold. So there's no direct correlation of gold per se at the minute with oil or I would say currencies or equities. Gold at the minute is being sold off in the West because of the Ukraine war and to make those payments a little bit more in the money. So that's my view. Range bound, Indian market would remain range bound with
Any
2000
reasons
plus
you
and
feel,
minus.
Sandeep, that such a wide range on Bank Nifty and Nifty will be maintained? Any reasons you feel for that?
Sir, yes. My reasons are, three reasons. One is, smart money at the minute is absent today, while HNI or and the retail in money at the minute. If you look at retail money is which was excited and brought in, is losing some bit of a steam. It is failing to take it to a neural orbital, which would have compensated for the 45,000 crores that FIIs would have exited from, maybe 17,000 levels or from those levels. So corporates are trying their best. The taxation system in the money, we are not able to generate too much multiplier effect in the economy, in the Indian economy, which can give us that thrust, which can take us to the new orbital. Is what my first reason is. Second reason is there are not much investments which are going on at the minute in the Indian subcontinent, which can bring out that multiplier effect of money circulation and take us through help us tide through the inflation or the perils of inflation which is happening
Got you,
at the minute.
Sandeep. Got you,
Yeah.
Sandeep. We are at a late stage of the conversation, so thanks for your contribution.
Thank
And
you.
Rachna Vaidya is here. I'm delighted to see her here. Very, very professional, very competent at what she does, and she almost always makes the toughest conversations civil. I've sent her a mic request in case she has missed noticing it. Rachna, why don't you request for the mic? Come up on the podium. Let's hear your thoughts as well. And until Rachna gets on to the podium, I am jumping in, Rima, though you are to do this, but I'm running a little faster than you, so I hope you don't mind it. Paramjit ji, briefly introduce yourself, unmute your mic, briefly introduce yourself, and share your thoughts with us.
Good evening, sir. I am sometime old to 5-6 years in investing the stock market. I am very much fan following of your views, and I am weak in English also. But it is my thought process that
तो प्राची हिंदी में बोलो ना. हमने कोई ब्रिटेन की सरकार को ठेका दिया है क्या कि हम अंग्रेजी में बोलेंगे? अब तो प्रधानमंत्री भी उनका हमारे वाला ही हो गया. आप हिंदी में बोलो. आप ठेठ पंजाबी में बोलो, हम ट्रांसलेट करवा लेंगे.
So nice of you, sir. So nice of you. But I will try that everyone should understand. So I will try, and my English may be wrong or right. It is
Don't worry at all about जी. सरदारों की इस देश में हमेशा से इतनी रिस्पेक्ट रही. Unfortunately, last 20 years, I wish they were never there. But बचपन में हम जब मामा के घर जाते थे और फादर साथ में नहीं जा सकते थे, मम्मी अकेले हम भाइयों को लेके जाती थी। और ट्रेन में अगर कोई सरदार जी होते थे ना, तो पिताजी बोलते थे बिल्कुल टेंशन की जरूरत नहीं है, सरदार जी हैं गड्डी में।
Yes,
तो
sir. Yes, sir.
तो आपकी रिस्पेक्ट हमेशा आप बोलो।
Yes, sir. So nice of you. It is my thought process that Russia and USA rivalry is long back, and it started. USA tried to convince European Union that you should not purchase oil or dependent on Russian oil or gas, so that Russia should not be strong enough. And all this started also when Europe tried to price oil in dollar in euro terms, and it was not favorable for dollar. And USA is known for supporting dollar and destabilizing currencies for the sake of dollar strength. And when Europe did not come along with USA, he tried to set up his proxies in Ukraine and initiated USSR, Russia, to take action. And he succeeded in this. And in all this is what is going now is it is here USA first reaction and first target is to weak Russia, Russia and Europe, so that Europe should go into recession, and he has no other option to support USA against Russia. And after weakening Russia, he will entangle China so that he will be again big daddy of international countries. I may be wrong. It is my thought process. I want your comments on it.
सर मैं फ्रैंक बात करूं आपसे?
हाँ जी, श्योर।
आप बुरा नहीं मानोगे?
नहीं सर, बिल्कुल नहीं। आप मेरे सीनियर हैं।
नहीं, कोई सीनियर कोई नहीं, हमने आपसे ज्यादा धक्के खाए हैं। देखो मैं आपसे एक सवाल पूछता हूँ, अक्ल बड़ी की भैंस?
सर कहावत में तो मतलब अकल ही बड़ी होती है, बट फिजिकली भैंस बड़ी होती है।
अब ये तो देखो, फिर या तो एक ही आंसर दो। तो ऐसा है ना, माता लक्ष्मी का मूड क्या है? मैं 30 साल हो गए रोज सवेरे विष्णु जी की पूजा करता हूँ और उनको पूछता हूँ भगवान आपकी तो वो वाइफ है, एक दिन के लिए तो बच्चे पे मेहरबानी कर दो, बता दो आज माता का मूड क्या है लक्ष्मी जी का। और भगवान मेरे को आंख दबा के बोलते बेटा 30 साल से तू रोज यही बात पूछता है, 30 युग हो गए, मुझे नहीं पता मेरी वाइफ का मूड क्या है, क्योंकि आखिर ये तो मूड है।
हाँ जी।
तो देखिए जितनी भी लॉजिक हम लगा लें, for all the mathematics that becomes visible in technical analysis, quant finance, or even in fundamental analysis, money is a very, very human affair. Monkeys, rats, snakes, donkeys, asses. I'm not talking about assholes. Assholes do deal with money, but donkeys and asses don't deal with money and therefore not with the markets. So it's a very human affair. और ये mood, crowds का mood होता है. The response that society wishes to give to some events is at least as important as how much what actual has happened. तो बहुत सारी तरफ ये चीजें बैठ सकती हैं और बातें करने में बड़ा मजा आएगा। कभी मिलना ड्रिंक पे तो विस्की टेस्टी लगेगी, अगर हम इन बातों को तब उस पे करेंगे, इससे पैसे नहीं बनेंगे। पैसा कैसे बनेगा? जिस तरफ पैसा चल रहा है उसके साथ चलना पड़ेगा।
हाँ जी।
और जिस तरफ पैसा चल रहा है उसके साथ चलते चलते उस चीज का एक्सप्लेनेशन निकाल के अपने हम सबको जो दिमाग मिला है वही हमारी मजबूरी है, क्योंकि उस दिमाग को भी जब तक खाने पीने को नहीं मिलता है, कुछ बहस करने को नहीं मिलता है, वो दिमाग परेशान हो जाता है। So we need a lot of subjective descriptive inputs to justify our intellect, but our wisdom is in letting our money move where it will produce the best.
Sure sir.
So I hope, मेरे को जो सच्चा आंसर मालूम था मैंने वो दिया, and I hope it doesn't offend you.
No offending sir. It was my thought process and I
पता
think
यार पुतिन ने क्या दांव लगाया हुआ है बाजार पे, और किसको पता कि एक दिन जाके वो यूक्रेन वाला 10-20-25 बिलियन डॉलर की लॉन्ग कर लेगा और जाके पैरी पौना प्राची कर देगा और उस दिन बाजार में ऊपर की सर्किट लग जाएगी। सो बहुत ज्यादा बाल की खाल नोच के कुछ नहीं मिलेगा।
ठीक है।
So if you are a longer term investor, focus on the longer term merits of investment or not investment. ये मतलब दिमागी पतंग उड़ा के किसके घर में रोटी पकी है?
ठीक है सर, but it's my opinion. It will be wrong,
So
but I
please,
am
no, please
sticking
hold
to.
your opinion. I will hold my opinion, and when you and I will together hold our respective drinks, that's when these subjective opinions exchange will create a very engrossing conversation. But इससे पैसे नहीं बनेंगे सरदार जी.
ठीक है सर.
Okay. Let's hear you out. Rachna Vedya, please unmute your mic and share your market thought. I hope Rachna hasn't gone to fix a cup of coffee. And until
No, good evening, and I'm here. And I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear, as always.
Okay. So I just happened to surf Twitter casually, and I happened to see that this particular conversation was going on. And because it was yours, definitely.
Yes, we forgot to invite you, but we did not invite anyone. So it's okay that everybody walked in casually. But
Yes,
it's a pleasure
yes.
hearing you.
Yeah, so immediately join kiya maine. I haven't been a part of the entire discussion since the starting, but from the topic that I can see, market ki discussion ho rahi hai about bulls and Diwali and all. And by Diwali, what do we
And
expect?
Rachna ji, we don't have to agree with each other. It's better if we disagree. So feel free. किसने क्या बोला, किसका क्या view है, सबका अपना अपना view है, सब अपना अपना stop loss लगाएंगे. We want to hear what your thought is.
डेफिनेटली ये बात आपने बहुत पते की बोली कि ये जो डिफरेंसेस है दैट इज व्हाट मेक्स द मार्केट आल्सो. अगर सब लोग एक ही साइड पे होते तो मार्केट बचती ही नहीं. सो वेरी राइटली सेड. एंड एज फार एज माय व्यू इज कंसर्न्ड, यस, ये बात जो टॉपिक से मुझे नजर आ रही है, आई कुड अग्री ऑन दिस. देयर आर ऑल चांसेस कि दिवाली तक ये जो अभी इतने टाइम से इतना बेरिश पिक्चर हो रखा है वो टर्न कर सकता है. एंड एज फार एज दिस वॉर थिंग इज गोइंग ऑन एंड दैट इज कंसर्न, मेरा ये मानना है कि अब मार्केट में जो भी मूवमेंट आ रही है एट प्रेजेंट, वो वॉर से इतनी इम्पैक्टेड नहीं होनी चाहिए, बिकॉज इट इज हैपनिंग सिंस क्वाइट सम टाइम एंड इज ऑलरेडी डाइजेस्टेड बाय द मार्केट. मेरा ये मानना है कि फिलहाल जो भी हम बेरिशनेस वगैरह देख रहे हैं उसका ज्यादा रीजन इज कंसर्न विद द इन्फ्लेशन एंड ऑल. ऑफ कोर्स उसके पीछे भी वॉर एक हद तक है, उसका कोई इनकार नहीं कर सकता, बट इन्फ्लेशन एंड ऑल इज अ बिगर रीजन. रिसेशन इज अ बिगर रीजन एट दिस पॉइंट इन टाइम मोर देन द वॉर. और जहां तक क्रूड में भी छोटा मोटा फॉल आता रहता है तो इधर उधर हैप्पीनेस दिखती रहती है, बट मुझे प्रॉब्लम उसमें नजर आ रहा है इस तरह से कि जो फॉल हो रहा है क्रूड में भी, दैट इज नॉट सप्लाई ड्रिवन की सप्लाई ईज हो रही है, इट इज रादर डिमांड ड्रिवन की डिमांड में फॉल आ रहा है. So that kind of concern is a bigger concern for the market as of now. And yes, Diwali tak ye picture definitely change ho sakta hai. As far as Nifty and Bank Nifty both are concerned, मेरा ये मानना है कि ये हम डिस्कशन हम कर रहे हैं उस हिसाब से निफ्टी में टर्न मुझे तब नजर आएगा, टू बी वेरी स्पेसिफिक, जब निफ्टी 16,500 नहीं बल्कि 800 क्रॉस करेगा. एंड सिमिलरली 36,800 अगर बैंक निफ्टी पे क्रॉस होगा तो मुझे ये लगेगा कि मीडियम टर्म पिक्चर चेंज हो रहा है. जहां तक 16,000 से या तो 16,500 से भी अगर हम वापस आते रहे तो तब तक शॉर्टर टर्म बुलिश स्विंग ठीक है, लेकिन मीडियम टर्म पिक्चर तब तक चेंज हो जब तक 16,800 और 36,800 क्रॉस हो निफ्टी और बैंक निफ्टी
So
पे.
once 16,800 crosses, then how much Nifty rise you would become open to?
Then we could be revisiting the old highs, ऐसा मेरा मानना है.
मेरे को लगता है दिवाली के पहले न्यू हाइज आ जाएगी. इस बार दिवाली में ना पटाखे खूब बजेंगे.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so.
When nobody is expecting, that's when the gods smile. With everybody seeking them, then God becomes busy. सबके घर बारी बारी से जाएंगे ना.
Perfect. That is how the tops and bottoms are made, as they say. Very rightly said.
What do you want to do? Still, a lot of people are requesting, so maybe you want to just offer them one question each. Not that we don't value their contributions, but we need to respect everybody's time. And
Yeah.
Rohit, would you like to step back in and maybe have some? Ravi Sutanjani is a voice I want to hear, so I'm adding him. So Ravi, go ahead and let's have your thoughts. Ravi is a lot into startups, and I follow his timeline to illuminate my less than knowledgeable mind on startups. He does understand businesses a lot. Markets also, I find his contributions always very meaningful on all spaces. So Ravi, please unmute your mic. I've already given a bad introduction to you. Maybe if there are any errors, you can rectify it. And poor quality introduction, not a bad introduction, an inaccurate introduction perhaps, and share your thoughts. And Rachna, stay back. I want you and Rohit to discuss things. He's more of fundamentals, you are more of a technician, and I'm here to trouble everyone and make sure that everybody goes back
Pleasure.
thinking more.
Pleasure.
So Ravi, go ahead.
Thank you so much, sir. I don't know, I mean, what kind of right word I'm supposed to find, but I think I do have one question for you and fellow speakers, if you may allow.
Sure.
Sir, you have seen ups and downs of the market for, I think, last 2-3 decades. How has been, I think, your perception changed, with the evolving of social media trends, and now everyone is jumping into equity. When we see the new number of, newbies coming into the stock market with the high expectation that, hey, 25 दिन में पैसा double, or when people invest in FD, they will to wait for, say, 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, right? But whenever we see someone new entering in the market, trading, investing, there is an expectation that you can earn high returns in just 1, 2, or 3 months. So I think social media has played a double-edged sword. Wanted to get your opinion, I think, since long.
I hope I have understood your question. If I have not understood it correctly while I speak, you can always immediately step in and talk. So, of course, social media has raised the hype. It has sold a dream faster. Stock market is always a dream that attracts people looking for fortune. And then people lose a fortune in stock markets to understand that it's a very tough business, which, if done very diligently, can be very rewarding. But at the same time, luck plays a very big role in every human life, and any career or business is only a part of life, and stock market is only a type of business. So despite doing a number of wrong things, behaving wrongly, living wrongly, doing the business wrongly, some people for sustained period of times may end up making money, and then they will either go to jail or they will commit a suicide. Jesse Livermore did that. Or there will be people who did everything right and still did not do enough. So it's pointless to get into any arguments with anyone. What is a right approach? Because there is no one right approach for everyone. And my personal belief is, which many people can ridicule, the only reason why all of us human beings have to be doing some work is to purify ourselves. By running into a jungle, becoming a sadhu or a sannyasi, we are absconders. We are not facing the challenges of life. So any business in the world, anything that we do for our living is to basically test ourselves against the entire kaleidoscope of human emotions, aspirations, failures, limitations. And since stock market is the fastest business in the world, every tick up or every tick down gives instant feedback. So stock market is a place where, if not wealth, people will find nirvana faster than any other market. And those who have found nirvana only will generate wealth in this market. Tip ले लो, 5,000 रुपये या 50,000 रुपये या 5 लाख रुपए का एल्गो ले लो, कामधेनु गाय 5,000, 50,000, 50 लाख 5 करोड़ में भी नहीं बिकेगी. So all businesses and all professions in the world are supposed to make us better human beings, and stock market will bring the demon or the divine out of each must faster. So everybody will go through this cycle. मैं भी जब कॉलेज के दिनों में स्टॉक मार्केट में घुसा था, I thought I was smarter than my father, because in that era when my pocket money was 10 rupees per day and a princely sum of 300 I used to get, by a total pure gambler's luck, in the first 45 days or 60 days I ended up making 30,000, and I thought I am far smarter than my dad. And over the next 20 days, when I lost that 30,000 and I was in a debt of 30,000, which was too much for an 18-year-old kid in that era, and for the next 6 months to a year, the blood curdling experiences I went through ki बापू को मालूम पड़ गया तो क्या होगा. So that was my graduation ceremony. So everybody who's getting lured into this dream, and social media is accelerating that dream, so lot many more people will become mature. That's all.
Thank you, sir. I think Yogesh, you may proceed, but this was indeed
Yogesh,
helpful.
please come in.
Yeah, Sushilji, I completely agree with you. I will just layer on few further things to what Ravi asked. So, Ravi, to me, honestly, if you ask me, stock market, even I am a capital markets lawyer, but the way when I advise clients, no, I think the market is more of greed and fear, and at times jealousy. So this is what market creates out of us. It is purely a game of greed and fear than anything else out of it. So if you ask me, for lack of proper word, again, no offense, but all the COVID investors which joined the journey in March 2020, you can already see in the numbers, the demat accounts are going down. I think it will go down further. The way I see it also is that one of the biggest learning is that even if, say, my mutual fund scheme gives me good return, I think I should thank to my karma, God, destiny, whatever, stay modest, stay humble, rather than trying to boast myself, because every fool will be an expert only in hindsight. One can be wrong, right, nobody knows what's going to happen in future. Having said which, I think social media definitely has played a important role, but it's up to you how you take it. Just because your neighbor is making money, your friends, relatives are making money, it is not necessarily you will make money. Even kids of same mother will not make the same amount of money in the market if they think they can do so. But yeah, great if you're able to beat it, nothing like it. But I think stay humble is what my takeaway. Thank you.
So we haven't heard Ghanshyamji at all. Perhaps let him be the last speaker. And after that, Rima, if you wish to get the floor, stay open for some more time for getting some more questions only. It's only totally up to you as the hostess. So Ghanshyamji, please share your thoughts after a brief introduction. You are a very, very well qualified man, and it will be a pleasure to hear your thoughts.
Good evening, sir. First time I came in this space. I am a chartered accountant based in Nashik in practice and part time in investing and trading. Uh, my question is now, if we see at Nifty 500 shares, more than 50% shares are trading above 50 DMA, and more than 25% shares are trading at uh, 200, above 200 DMA. Plus, if we go to Nifty 50 shares, then approximately 75%, approximately, yeah, 75, more than 75% shares are trading near or above 50 DMA, and 17 shares are 16 or 17 shares are trading above 200 DMA. And we see, if we see the number of shares near 15th 16th June and in month of May, then the lowest number of shares of Nifty 50 were near 200 DMA, 50 DMA, and 20 DMA in those 3 months. So, can we say that market has done a bottom here? And next is my thought. If we see at Nifty PSU Bank Index, that has corrected from difference between high and 52-week high and 52-week low is near about 42%, and it is corrected from recovered from the down by 17% approximately, and it is down from the top around 17%. Can we say that it will be a next bullish sector? And if we see at FMCG sector, growth sector, auto sector, and energy sector, these four sectors are trading above 200 DMA. All other sectors are below 200 DMA. So out of these four sectors, the first three sectors, those were moved a lot. Those were near about their 52 high. And if we see at energy sector, it is still near about 14.75 or 15% down from 52 high. Can we go long in energy sector and PSU bank sector, which will give us a good return? Thank you, sir. Waiting for your reply.
Rachna, you want to hit on this question?
Yes, I can do that.
ओके आप करो, उसके बाद मैं इस क्वेश्चन को चुरमुर करूंगा. आप पहले बोलो.
डेफिनेटली सर. मैं ये कहना चाहूंगी कि ये कुछ क्वांटिटी का यहाँ होना वहाँ होना, इन सब चीजों का बनने में जितना टाइम लगता है उससे 1/10 टाइम में ये चीजें चेंज भी हो सकती है. सो दीज थिंग्स आर सो डायनामिक. क्या आप इतना माइन्यूटली इन नंबर्स पे जाके और उसके डीएमए ये में जो भी है उसके आसपास से कंक्लूजन्स अगर बनाते हैं, यू विल हैव टू बी फ्लेक्सिबल इनफ टू चेंज योर कंक्लूजन्स एज रैपिडली एज दे आर मेड. सो अदरवाइज आप ब्रॉड लेवल पे इन क्वांटिटी को इग्नोर करके भी एक ओवरऑल इंडेक्स का या उसके फ्यूचर का चार्ट देखेंगे तो भी जो आपको रीडिंग आएगा दैट विल बी रिलायबल इनफ. यू डोंट नीड टू सेग्रीगेट इट एंड ब्रेक डाउन इनटू दीज थिंग्स. दिस ईएमए एंड डीएमए एंड ऑल विल कम एंड गो एज क्विकली एज पॉसिबल, बोथ द साइड्स. पहली बात. और दूसरी बात, यस ऑटो इज अ सेक्टर विच इज इन गुड टर्न ऑन चार्ट्स. सो यस, अगर कोई पॉजिटिव अपॉर्चुनिटी देखता है तो उस सेक्टर में डेफिनेटली देख सकता है. बात ये कि आप कहाँ पे एंटर होते हैं वो आपके हाथ में है और वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. तो वरना अच्छे से अच्छे सेक्टर का अच्छा से अच्छा स्टॉक नहीं चलेगा अगर एंट्री गलत होगी तो. और ट्रेलिंग और ये सब की अपॉर्चुनिटी ही नहीं देगा मार्केट अगर आपकी एंट्री गलत होगी तो. क्योंकि इन द मनी इन द जल्दी नहीं आओगे और अगर पहले अगेंस्ट जाना शुरू करोगे तो कब तक होल्ड करोगे, कितना ड्रॉडाउन टॉलरेट करोगे. So entry is important and not just the sector, and the specific stock is obviously important. That's first thing. And second thing, overall market के साथ रहना भी जरूरी है. तो अगर आपका सेक्टर बढ़िया है और स्टॉक भी बढ़िया है लेकिन ओवरऑल मार्केट अगर गिर रही है तो बड़े से बड़ा आईसीआईसीआई भी गिरेगा और बड़े से बड़ा मारुति भी गिरेगा. There is no quality in a bear market. Everything goes for a toss. तो ओवरऑल मार्केट और एंट्री के लेवल दोनों को ध्यान में रख के चूज कर सकते हो. तो ऑटो इज डेफिनेटली अ सेक्टर दैट यू कैन लुक एट. That's it.
Okay, I'll step in quickly on this, and I hope Ghanshyam ji, the brutality with which I'll attack this question is not at all aimed at you, but because we've got introduced today, I feel compelled to share with you what I have learned after paying unbelievable tuition fees. Do not use any moving average until you are able to find the answer to this question. Why is 200-day moving average better than 200 one-day average or better than 199-day average? Until you get an answer to this question, मेरा अनुरोध है अपने ब्रेन को किसी साइकोलॉजिस्ट के पास जाके, तांत्रिक के पास जाके, कोई चुड़ैल भगाने वाले के पास जाके झाड़ू पोछा लगवा के ब्रेन से इसको निकाल दीजिए. Because if 200-day average is only as good as 199-day or a 201-day average, then we can ask the same question about 199-day average. Why is it better than 198 or 200-day average? And asking like this, we can come down all the way to asking, why is the 2-day average better than the price itself or a 3-day average? Okay. And since these questions cannot be answered, these questions basically pose the comfort every intelligent mind needs to exercise its intelligence. But wisdom is always in choosing the right question first. You never find great answers to bad questions. When we end up discovering a very good question, the truth pops out only then. The process of discovery of truth is the fine art of eliminating bad questions. So, averages are only for the average minds that cannot find calm, that cannot find peace, that will always remain restless. And averages are also good for the fake babas who are 10 times more than the number of potential clients on Twitter who will post a screenshot, मैंने million rupees आज बनाया average use करके. So, moving averages will confuse and they are a backward looking indicator. There are 100 problems I can find with them. But we can broadly use moving averages for only one thing: classifying stocks in buckets of relative strength to their own price that was approximately 100 days ago. On an average, n number of days average will compare a price with the n by 2 days ago price on an average. So you are better to use an n by 2 days ago ROC. The problem with the ROC indicator is that, again, it will not go beyond 100 and minus 100, so it's an oscillator. So use oscillators, stop using open-ended indicators, stop using any indicators that suffer from degrees of freedom. Degrees of freedom is any indicator where you're talking 200-day average ka value, it has 201 answers, n plus 1. So that's a little exotic and esoteric. And lastly, sectors can go up and down. There are different reasons for it. But if we have spent some time productively, I do hope you'll take my intellectual brutality as a gift, because I paid intolerably high tuition fees to stop searching for magic indicators. The best forecast of the best indicator of price is price itself. Focus on patterns, focus on other methods, but all of these, see, in human affairs, any indicator with a fixed value of n, market is an ever changing cycle. आज आपका मूड किया सवेरे 6 बजे उठ गए, किसी दिन मूड करेगा 8 बजे तक सोने का, तो आप क्या 8 घंटे का मूविंग एवरेज निकालोगे आपकी स्लीप साइकिल का? किसी दिन आपकी 4 बजे नींद खुल जाएगी. सो देर आर वेगेरीज ऑफ लाइफ एंड वेगेरीज ऑफ क्राउड मूड्स. एनी इंडिकेटर विद अ फिक्स्ड वैल्यू ऑफ n is disaster. You do statistical backtesting, सब wrong आएंगे. So at most you can use some oscillators. But if some people have a very adaptive mind and they can get a good flavor of it, it creates an optical illusion that I'm making money because of moving averages. People are making money because of some other skills that they have not recognized in their conscious mind or out of sheer luck. बर्बाद होना है तो किसी से बदला लेना है तो उसको मूविंग एवरेज सिखा दो. So Dikshit Agarwal, he's a sailor. I'm not sure if he's a sailor in the merchant navy or in the forces. I hope, Rima, he's the last speaker. And if at all you wish to take any questions or summing up remarks from Rohit and Yogesh ji, then that's fine. If we keep things brief, we will all have the energy to meet more frequently. Welcome to our space, Dikshit Agarwal ji. Please introduce yourself and any thoughts you have to share, please do so.
Good evening, everyone. Myself, Dikshit Agarwal. I am 29 years old and sailing in Merchant Navy. So I have been to this market recently from past 6 to 8 months. So the profile is like not too bad, gone too bad, not too good. Just losses about 4 to 5%. My vision is for a long-term vision, not a short-term vision. So I just wanted to ask the guests that if someone is having an X amount of chunk in his bank account or his funds, he has X amount, how to deploy the funds with the current market scenario? Should we go in one chunk and deploy? Should we break it by half or like with quarter and quarter? How should we deploy the funds?
I hope you'll not feel offended at my honest answer.
No, not at all.
Can I afford to be honest with you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'll begin with a joke. We had a very, very fertile-minded, a very fecund-minded professor, Professor N. Vishwanathan, who was teaching us English in our graduation days. And his boring subject of English literature for commerce students, he used to make it memorable and everybody looked up to his class because of a unique, novel joke he will definitely crack in each class. So he attacked a student with a similar kind of a query by narrating this joke. So it's not I attacking you, I'm just telling you another story that happened more than 2 decades ago in my college days. It's in Xavier's, Kolkata. So with a similar question of a similar nature, not a same question or similar, a question of similar nature, Professor Vishwanathan answered it by sharing this joke that I went to a party and a man shook my hands vigorously and asked me, how do I do? How do you do, Mr. Professor Vishwanathan? And I chuckled back at him, I don't do it. So people laughed, and the whole class did not laugh fully well. So he said, well, I went to another party the next day, and another man shook my hands and asked me, how do I do it? So this time, Professor Vishwanathan said, I do it both ways. So you can imagine whatever that both ways means. So everybody laughed. So this joke, what I'm sharing now is to only create impact. Each human being is different. Your tolerance for fluctuations, your tolerance for risk is different. Your cash flows are different. Your cash outflow goals are different. how much of a time you will be on the ground. Sailors typically in merchant navy sail for 6 months, and 6 months they are on shore. Are you going to be on a ship with a poor internet connection? Are you on the ground? So very, very unique situations each person goes through. Not only each person is very different. So such a question is a bad question. You need to understand who you are much more than you need to understand what is the process of investing, because that correct process of investing is going to be only arrived at your own self discovery of who you are going to be during the time horizon of your investment. Say, let's make an assumption you have 5 lakh rupees surplus over the next 3 months. You need to sit down and understand, how am I going to be likely as a human being over the next 3 months first? And nobody can answer that question best than you yourself. So if you are going to take help from another advisor, if he's not careful enough to ask this, make sure within the available time, cogently, briefly, to the point, you put out a one-pager note. Ki, Bhaiya, I am going to be on a ship. Don't give me this stop loss based strategies. Don't give me something that, don't expect mega returns without having the need to monitor the mega risks. तो आप अपनी परिस्थितियों को, अपने आप को, अपने उद्देश्यों को, अपने कैश इनफ्लो आउटफ्लो को समझिए. ज्यादा पैसे कमाएंगे जिससे कि आपकी वधु बड़ी प्रभावित हो जाएगी और उस चक्कर में आपने पैसे खो दिए, तो आपकी वधु के पिताश्री यानी आपके ससुर श्री बोलेंगे, यार मैंने नालायक को बेटी दे दी. तो वैसा भी नहीं होना चाहिए कि यू फील ridiculed, and that's where your ego will get provoked. You will get into revenge trading. So I'm giving you a very global answer to a question that is in general a question in the category of bad questions. So try to understand yourself, and this applies to all of us. इतने साल के बाद भी मैं अक्सर ये सोचता हूँ कि I have been very agitated this week. I have been angry with my cook. I am reacting to my friends. I have to cut down my trading. So market को तो सब लोग समझने की कोशिश करते हैं. Please bear with me if you have been part of my other prior spaces. This will be totally repetitive again, but maybe in a minute I'll wrap it up. But those new, I think I want to, at some point when I'll be no longer part of this earth, and I don't intend to write books. Rachna is better than me in writing books. मैं किताबें नहीं लिखूंगा. तो मैं मेरे conversations में मेरी कमाई को share करना चाहता हूँ. So, to me, the stock market with the collective force of 1 crore people or 5 crore people together, witting, playing their wits against each other, becomes like the Gödel's theorem. And there's a constant h variables that can be understood, and where you can decipher the range of their variables, you can build an equation at most with them. But in any equation where there are infinite number of variables and you cannot understand the nature of those variables or assign their values, there is a constant called h in that equation. Unfortunately, fortunately, I was a quantitative guy before I chose to become a commerce student. So that constant h is equivalent to that God force. And that stock market is that God force. Trying to understand the God force, more than trying to understand the variables that are within your control, how much I can afford to lose, what level of stress I can take, apart from my financial affordability, what is my mental tenacity? Your mental tenacity is driven by your relationships, self image, how supportive is your partner. Don't go back and fight with her कि तू मुझे ज़्यादा सट्टा नहीं करने देती. Respect her. It's not only your money, it's as much as her money, because she is much more caring about the kids you will have or you already have. So focus on the variables that you can understand, and that variable is, अगर आप अपने आप को नहीं समझोगे तो इस दुनिया में किसी और को पड़ी है आपको समझने की. So a private banker like Rohit might be smiling at what I'm saying कि यार तू सिंपल सी बात को इतना कॉम्प्लेक्स करके बोल रहा है. तो अपनी परिस्थितियों को, अपने गोल्स को, अपने कंस्ट्रेंट्स को समझिए, और उसको समझना उतना ही जरूरी है जितना इस बात को समझना जरूरी है कि मार्केट आगे क्या करेगा. बिकॉज स्टॉक मार्केट इज लाइक नटराज into a celestial dance, and out of the 5 crore dancers on this celestial dance floor, कोई भंगड़ा कर रहा है, कोई गरबा कर रहा है, कोई काली पूजा का विसर्जन वाला डांस कर रहा है, कोई डिस्को कर रहा है, कोई ब्रेक डांस कर रहा है, कोई कुचिपुड़ी कर रहा है, कोई भारतनाट्यम कर रहा है. And the celestial dancer that Nataraj is, there is every nuance and every dance form getting reflected in his each step, because it's a celestial dance. So the stock market offers a meal to everyone, and stock market can make anyone his own meal. So don't become the meal of the stock market. वी आर ऑल पार्ट ऑफ अ फूड चेन। आप ये समझिए कि आपका शिकार कौन हो सकता है। डोंट ट्राई टू फाइट द जॉबर, डोंट ट्राई टू फाइट द बिग ऑपरेटर्स, डोंट ट्राई टू फाइट द FIIs। तो मेरे को भैया लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टिंग करनी होगी, मीडियम टर्म इन्वेस्टिंग करनी होगी। आई विल पिक अप द राइट काइंड ऑफ एडवाइजर। So I can keep on going on about this, but if you will just remember from this very long jibe I gave you, financial markets should be perceived as the celestial dancer Nataraj, who creates such an illusory dance because of his divine powers that each person feels he has a unique relationship with the market. So if indeed each is entitled to be so privileged कि हर एक व्यक्ति का कामधेनु वृक्ष स्टॉक मार्केट बनेगा, सबकी इच्छाओं को पूरा करेगा, तो इस रिलेशनशिप को निभाने के लिए अपने आप को भी उतना ही समझिए जितना आप स्टॉक मार्केट को समझने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। एंड 99.999% people who come and become quick easy lunch of the markets, the reason is not because they don't understand the market. broadly बाजार किधर जा रहा है सबको समझ में आ जाएगा, बट खुद को समझे बिना जरूरत से ज्यादा बड़ा दांव लगा देंगे, जल्दी घबरा जाएंगे। जब नहीं घबराना चाहिए, जहाँ करेज होना चाहिए वहां पे डर जाएंगे, जहाँ डरना चाहिए वहां पे लालच कर बैठेंगे। सो all of these psychological errors or tactical errors happen because you've not spent enough time, or you are not regularly understanding who you are this month, who you are in this year, what you wish to be in the next year. अपने आप को समझिए, अपनी जिंदगी की मकसदों को, अपने गोल्स के ऊपर कॉन्स्टेंटली आंखें रखिए। मार्केट से ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट आपकी जिंदगी है। क्यों इतने अंधे हो जाते हो मार्केट में कि डेस्परेट होकर के हम बस यही ढूंढते हैं बाजार क्या करेगा। बाजार बहुत कुछ करेगा, मेरे को क्या करना चाहिए बाजार में, उस सवाल को कभी मत भूलिए। ये मेरा आपसे अनुरोध है। आई होप दीक्षित व्हाट आई हैव टोल्ड यू एट लीस्ट इज नॉट ऑफेंसिव।
Not at all, not at all.
So Rima, over to you. I think I love to talk, and the space will not get over until you take out your cop avatar. You need to police this space now. I'm about to go berserk, and many more will. So Rima, you need to put us all in discipline. So I'll not speak any longer until Rima asks me to respond. And now we are in the wrap-up round. You choose, Rima, who should speak more now, or any new speakers. Rajiv ji is an extraordinary speaker, and he loves me a lot. So I'll request if you give the mic to Rajiv ji. No mutual admiration society. वो प्यार मोहब्बत के लिए वक्त अलग है। अभी हम सारे रफ्तार में हैं, मुद्दे की ही बात करेंगे। So Rima, over to you. If Rima, without your invitation, I open my mouth, you should levy a penalty on me. And if you fail to do that penalty on me, I'll levy a penalty on you.
Okay, sir. I think Ravi wanted to speak something on your.
अब मेरे को मत पूछो, स्पेस के मालकिन आप हो। मैंने सिर्फ होस्ट का बटन दबाया था, तो you cannot kick me out. But if required, if there is a way, mute me. I'm not talking anymore until you ask me to. अब आप wrap up round पे चलो।
Okay, wrap up round में है वही, but I think Ravi ji wanted to say something, so quickly सुन लेते हैं, then we'll move over to Rajiv ji. So Ravi ji, quickly.
And don't add any more people, नहीं तो खत्म नहीं होगा।
Yes. ठीक है।
I'm enjoying this tug of war, but with all due respect, Rimaji and Sushil sir, I think indeed a pleasure to hear from you. And very quickly, I think I still remember our early spaces with you where we had 1,500 plus odd members, and I got multiple feedback. So I could relate when Dikshit ji asked his question, and I think so. My dad and my grandfather, we come from a teaching background, and I still remember I was not even 20 when I was fighting him. I cleared, I think, one of the UPSC railway examination to pursue entrepreneurship. And trust me, when you said the optimization wala part, कामधेनु की आपका कामधेनु क्या है? I think that is where I wanted to say something. So my dad said that optimize for learning, network, and career in the, I think, first 5-10 years. Boring instrument would help in the longer run. And I think mutual funds, PPF has been really helpful. There are finance professionals who are getting paid for managing our money. And a lot of youngsters like us who tend to do this mistake by doing everything on our own, by watching people posting screenshots on social media platforms, watching that video and believing that they can double and triple their money. But I think on that note only, it's very important to understand कि आपके लिए कामधेनु क्या है. I was fortunate enough to get the liquidity of my ESOPs, and I think that is one thing that can give you competitive advantage if you know how to play your career in the longer run. But Sushil sir, I think obviously if Rimaji allows, I have a direct question. So everyone knows you as a market veteran. You have seen thousands of trading sessions. Comes with humor and life psychology too when it comes to giving relatable examples around. What do you do in absolute free times? And I think what do you do for learning? Off topic, but I think would love to know your insights.
This is a very interesting question, but Sushilji, would you like to answer that? That's entirely your call.
मुझे चांस दोगे रीमा तो मैं उसको छोड़ने वाला नहीं हूँ और फिर सवेरे के 5 बजे तक आपको बैठना पड़ेगा. आप अपनी रिस्क को डिसाइड कर लो.
हम सारे बैठ जाएंगे. I think
नहीं.
सब आपको सुनने के लिए
So
बैठेंगे.
रवि, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल स्ट्रॉन्ग ऑब्जेक्शन. वेटरन क्यों बोलते हो यार? अभी तो मैं जवान हूँ. यूथ इज अ स्टेट ऑफ माइंड. सो वेटरन कुछ नहीं है. मार्केट 2 मिनट में थप्पड़ मारता है. जैसे ही अहंकार आता है ना कि आज तो नोट छाप लिए, 5 मिनट में सफाया होता है. There's so many days on my very fast option positions. 2:50 में लगता है made a killing and 3:15 बजे लगता है been killed. So this market is a place which is going to, I many a times feel market is a divine machine that knows accurately to smell whoever is getting smug. Market जाके उसकी कुटाई कर देता है. So we need to be all the time on our toes. And कोई veteran नहीं है यहाँ. Experience, I doubt, makes you any better. Maturity is more important. And maturity, some people are born mature, some people will never become mature. So उसको छोड़ दो. Spare time and learning. Spare time कम होता है. But learning goals keep changing. I have more than 500 unread books, which my daughter keeps saying, I know you love to show off people. Now the only furniture you will be interested in is these books. And I show those books to her and says, no, they are bricks also. I can hit you with them. Don't tease me. So maybe there are 700 unread books and there are many more on the soft form. So learning these days is broadly focused on discussing learning more from people who I definitely know much more than me. My current obsessions on learning is various dimensions of cognition, and my current learning goals are much more inclined towards certain parts of our spirituality, much more centered around Krishna. And उनके beyond बहुत ज़्यादा learning का मौका नहीं मिल पाता है. तो I'm not sure if that's at all useful to you.
Perfect. And also quickly wanted to say that we are not taking any new speakers at the moment. We already...
आपको मने तो आप करो. I can keep doing my work and listen. I should not be the only person to talk. Who knows who will bring out any jewels and gems. But all I wanted to say, Rima, if you have the energy, you have the stamina, I don't want to dissuade you. If you are in the momentum, go with it. I'll enjoy it on the side. I'll be just one amongst the others. It does not need to become Kedia Baba ka pravachan. It should never be.
We do like to hear Kedia Baba ka pravachan though, I think.
रोज रोज सुनोगे तो आपका भी वही हाल होगा जो मेरे फादर इन लॉ का होता है.
It's okay. It's okay. No, we really like it, I think. So, ठीक है, let me go through the profiles जिन्होंने request किया है, and if you
You might want to get Rajiv ji to speak next. He's a very seasoned market folk.
Yes.
He's a senior journalist. And anyways, it's up to you. I should not interfere.
Rajiv ji, if you're around, please give us your views on the markets at the moment. We would love to listen from you.
And do definitely bring up my friend, the big bear, Sharad Shah ji. He will demolish all of us. एकदम तोड़ फोड़ देंगे.
request भेज दिया है
और
मैंने.
और अगर वो चिल्लाने चीखने लग जाएंगे तो हम दोनों को म्यूट कर देना. He's senior to me in age, experience, and he's much more brutal in his market views. So I always want to hear his views, even though I will almost always disagree with him if he's going to be a bear right now. But do definitely get him onboarded if you are adding more speakers. That would be my best recommendation.
Sharad ji, please join us if you're free. I have sent you a couple invites. I'm doing that again. So if you have some time, please come up. We'd love to listen from you. And okay, Rajiv ji, over to you.
नमस्कार केडिया जी, रीमा जी, शरद शाह जी और मेरे इस स्पेस पे बहुत बहुत प्यारे दोस्तों. मैं सुशील जी के बारे में कुछ नहीं बोलूंगा क्योंकि आई लव
हाँ
हिम
सर,
सो
म्यूचुअल
मच।
लव एंड अफेक्शन प्राइवली होना चाहिए, पब्लिक डिस्प्ले ऑफ
हाँ हाँ,
अफेक्शन, पब्लिक
सर
डिस्प्ले
मैं ये
डिस्प्ले
तो
ऑफ अफेक्शन इज
मैं ये
अनसिविल एंड वेस्ट एवरीबॉडीज टाइम।
जी मैं यही बोलना चाहता हूँ कि मैं नहीं बोलूंगा क्योंकि वो पूरा स्पेस कंज्यूम कर सकता है, इसलिए मैं वो नहीं बोलूंगा। और मैं मुद्दे पे आता हूँ। और
मोहब्बतें और नफरतें अपने अपने ड्राइंग रूम में करेंगे, यहाँ सिर्फ धंधे की बात करते हैं। चलिए,
धंधे की बात करते हुए मैं सुशील जी की बात से तो बात निकाल ही सकता हूँ कि मुझे प्यार है जब ये स्पिरिचुअलिटी से और नटराज से और उसकी मूवमेंट से मार्केट को कंपेयर करते हैं, और जब ये बहुत ही खूबसूरती से मूविंग एवरेजेस को एवरेज लोगों की बात बता देते हैं, ये कहने वाला मुझे दूसरा बंदा नहीं
राजीव
मिलता
जी
है।
क्षमा कीजिए, मेरे बड़े भाई साहब शरद शाह जी यहाँ पे वो चढ़ जाएंगे आपके ऊपर। उनको टू द
दूसरी
पॉइंट की
बात
बात
मैं ये
पसंद है और
कहना
स्पेस भी
चाहता
बहुत
हूँ,
लेट हो चुका है। अब मार्केट का अपना ध्यान बताओ और 2 पैसा कैसे बने वो बताओ।
सुशील जी 2 पैसा क्या, ये मार्केट तो अनमोल रतन है और ये खुलने ही वाला है। लेकिन मैं आपको सिर्फ ये बोलना चाहता हूं कि ये हमारा जो हिंदुस्तान का मार्केट है, एक ये वो हाथी है भैया। इसको सुशील भाई साहब, अगर आपको या रीमा जी या किसी और को मेरी बात, मैं दिल से बात बोल रहा हूं आज, इस हाथी को चलने दो, इस हाथी को बढ़ने दो। ये हाथी भागना चाहता है। इससे अच्छा अपॉर्चुन टाइम इस देश में नहीं हो सकता इस मार्केट को भागने के लिए। लेकिन इस हाथी को आके इधर उधर से सुई चुभो के पंगा लेके इसको तंग करके अगर आप रखोगे तो ये बिदक जाएगा और बिदक जाता है। तो मैं ये कह रहा हूं कि इस हाथी को बहुत जबरदस्त इस टाइम हालात हैं, मुल्क के महावत बहुत अच्छा मिला हुआ है और ये क्रांति का बिगुल फूंक सकता है। और इसको
आप बहुत बड़ा
दुनिया से
खतरा ले रहे हो राजीव जी, आपके पास जो शरद
दुनिया
भाई
से
बोलेंगे ना।
इसको कोई दुनिया से इसको कोई मतलब नहीं। ये हाथी अपनी एक चाल रखता है, ये हाथी अपना एक विजन रखता है और ये हाथी कमाल करने को तैयार है। लेकिन मेरे दोस्तों, ये हाथ जैसे कि दुनिया सेंटीमेंट से चलती है, मार्केट सेंटीमेंट से चलती है। जरा सोचो आप, कहीं वॉर हो रही, कहीं कुछ हो रहा, कहीं कुछ हो रहा। अरे प्यारे दोस्तों, हिंदुस्तान में एक बार इस हाथी के लिए रास्ता तो क्लियर कर दो। ये तो रेडी खड़ा है भाई मेरे। पर अब तुम 130 करोड़ बंदे अगर जुट जाओ, इस हाथी को भागने दो। मैं तो ये कहता हूं कि हमारे जो लोग हैं, जो मार्केट के जो धुरंधर हैं, उनको आके ये कहना चाहिए, इस देश में अपील करना चाहिए कि ये हाथी अब इतनी स्पीड से दौड़ने को तैयार खड़ा है। इसको मत रोको, इसके रास्ते में मत आओ और इसके साथ मिलके आगे बढ़ जाओ। बस अगर इसको कोई समझ सके तो ठीक है। सुशील जी, यही मेरा दर्द है। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
राजीव जी अब आपके तुरंत बाद शरद भाई बोलेंगे और आपने इस हाथी की ना पूंछ में भी पटाखा बांधेंगे, उसकी सूंड में भी पटाखा बांधेंगे और उसको लाठी से पिटाई करेंगे। शरद भाई ओवर टू यू।
राजीव भाई, ये जो अपना हाथी है ना, वो लुढ़कने वाला है। और वो लुढ़कने वाला हाथी का कोई वैल्यू नहीं है। एंड सुशील भाई, आपने लास्ट टाइम मुझको बोला था कि मंदी के सिवा आपको वो कुछ आता ही नहीं क्या?
नहीं, यू मिस इंटरप्रेटेड मी। मैंने आपको तब भी करेक्ट किया था। अब आपको मेरे से झगड़ा करने का ही मूड है तो घर पे बुला करके अच्छा खाना वाना खिला के उसके बाद पिटाई करो। खाली पेट में मैं मार नहीं खाऊंगा।
अरे झगड़ा नहीं करना है।
हाँ, तो मैंने आपको बोला था कि मैंने ये बिल्कुल मेरे वर्ड नहीं थे, मेरी हाथी वाली मेमोरी है। मैं आपको बताता हूँ कि when what are the time periods and circumstances in which you played bullish, let us know those.
नहीं, आप बोले थे, मेरा भी वो थोड़ा सा याद है। आप बोले थे,
चलो मेरा सेंटेंस पूरा होने के पहले आप चढ़ गए थे। मेरे को बहाना समझ लो, जो भी समझ लो। माय इंटेंट वाज दैट कि आपका नाम मंदोड़िया है पर पोर्टफोलियो तो बनाया है ना लंबा चौड़ा। तो व्हाट आर द सर्कमस्टांसेस एंड सिचुएशंस इन व्हिच यू विल फील लाइक पुटिंग योर मनी इन द मार्केट, वो आप बताओगे तो उसके बाद मैं आप पे चढ़ जाऊंगा कि वो सर्कमस्टांसेस आज भी है। तो आप बताओ ना वो सर्कमस्टांसेस क्या है।
अरे दोस्त, मैं आज भी पैसा डालता हूँ, बहुत पैसा डालता हूँ। पर आपका नजरिया का जो स्टॉक है ना, उसमें मैं वो छूता भी नहीं हूँ। मुझे लॉन्ग टर्म ग्रोथ स्टोरी चाहिए। मेरे कोई HDFC बैंक वो सब में कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं है। मेरा सिंपल फॉर्मूला है।
तो चलो 5 लॉन्ग टर्म ग्रोथ स्टोरी बताओ जिधर आप माल पी रहे हो।
और क्यों बताऊं?
तो फिर सबको डराओ भी मत ना कि यार ये बाजार खत्म हो जाएगा, इंडिया खत्म हो जाएगा, दुनिया खत्म हो जाएगी।
नहीं, देखो, अगर मेरे बोलने से बाजार खत्म होता तो मैं तो सबसे अमीर आदमी होता।
नहीं, पर आपके पीछे पीछे 25-50 ट्विटर पे बाबा लोग ऐसा शुरू हो गए हैं, ढोलक नगर सब आपको रोल मॉडल बना के एकदम चारों तरफ धुआंधार मंदी का भाषण है।
हाँ तो ठीक है ना यार, ये सोशल मीडिया है ना।
पर वो मंदी के भाषण के बीच में तो निफ्टी 15,200 वाली 16,100 तक आ गई। और निफ्टी को गोली मारो, ऑटो
नहीं,
सेक्टर के अंदर में चिप की शॉर्टेज थी, पूरा ऑटो सेक्टर का स्टॉक 30% बढ़ गया और बढ़ेगा सारा ऑटो एंसिलरीज।
अरे
सीमेंट के स्टॉक्स बढ़ गए।
सुनो ना, लास्ट जून में भी 16,000 था प्लीज, और 30% ये बढ़ा तो 30% ये घट गया। सो दैट इज नॉट अ लॉजिक टू बी बुलिश और बेरिश।
अच्छा चलो, गिव मी 5 रीजंस व्हाई यू थिंक कि हाथी लुढ़क जाएगा और सब खत्म हो जाएगा।
हाँ, लुढ़क जाएगा मतलब वैल्यू तो रहेगा ही ना। आज भी शेयर इसका 120 है, तो ऐसे नहीं चलता है अपना बाजार। ये मरा हुआ चीज का भी वैल्यू है। तो व्हाट आई एम ओनली ट्राइंग टू से ब्रॉडली इज if you will invest, okay, it won't go down. But don't rise for another 4 years also. That's an open challenge. Because momentum is lost, so many companies are nowhere near the top. और सुशील भाई, एक बात बोल,
તમારાથી નાનકડો છું, મને ભાઈ નહીં કહેતા।
नहीं, मैं सबको भाई बोलता हूँ।
नहीं, सबको बोलते हो तो फिर बिल्कुल ही नहीं बोलना मेरे को भाई।
और सबको बेन बोलता हूँ। नहीं, सी सुशील, बी ऑब्जेक्टिव। Where is the market?
मैं आपको सुनूंगा एंड ओनली विद योर ड्यू परमिशन आई विल रीबट। आप मुझे बोलोगे कि अब तू बोल तो मैं बोलूंगा, वरना आई वांट टू हियर यू। बोलो।
नहीं, I'm just saying this market will not take you anywhere. Bull run, bear run, वो 3-4 हजार पॉइंट बढ़ जाएगा, 3-4 हजार पॉइंट बढ़ जाएगा अगले 4 साल में। ओके, दैट्स माय व्यू। नथिंग। Our valuations are sky high compared to the international markets. अरे यार, कौन 4 का बुक में कौन बैंकिंग शेयर लेगा? उधर 0.8 में मिल रहा है, यहाँ पे क्यों लूं? एंड आई फील अवर मार्केट इज सैचुरेटेड। और आप जो ऑटो इंडेक्स का बोले, दैट सेक्टर इज हाउ मच?
व्हाटएवर इट बी, 2 पैसा निकालना हमारा काम है बाजार से। हमारा धर्म है कि पैसा कमाना है, कैसे भी कमाओ। मंदी में मिले तो मंदी में कमाओ, तेजी में मिले तेजी में कमाओ।
सर, आपको भी मालूम है कि कोई पैसा कमाता नहीं है। ये सब बातें हैं बोलने की, कोई पैसा नहीं कमाता है ट्रेडिंग। एक में आता है, एक में लग जाता है। खाली बोलने का मैंने ऑटो में ये ले लिया, फिर मालूम पड़ता है कि मैंने विप्रो भी ले लिया। So it's futile. And Sujil bhai, whatever you may say, in your heart you know what will be the state of a trader in this world, in this market. अगर कोई बोले मैं पैसा कमाया, दंडवत प्रणाम करूंगा। कोई नहीं,
जिंदगी भर खाली ट्रेडिंग करके कोई पैसा कमा ले, वो आदमी की मैं फोटो लगा के अगले जन्म में भी उसकी पूजा करूंगा। ट्रेडिंग या तो बाजार की फील लेने के लिए है, या टू जनरेट सम इनकम है अप टू अ पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम। एक सर्टेन अमाउंट ऑफ कॉर्पस के बाद larger part of returns will only come by buy and hold and capturing big trends. ये रोज का सट्टा करना विवशता है हमारे मन की, हमारे दिमाग की, कि दिमाग मिला है तो उसको लगाना ही है. तो दैट
नहीं
पॉइंट
आप
वेल अंडरस्टूड, उसके बारे में बहस ही नहीं है. वो सर आपके जो अनुयायी लोग आजकल हो गए ना, आपको कॉपी कर करके जो 7,500 की निफ्टी, 5,000 की निफ्टी बोलने वाले, वो लोग क्लेम करते हैं कि हमारा रोज ट्रेडिंग में पैसा बनता है. वो लोग स्क्रीनशॉट डालते हैं, आज 10 लाख कमाया, 20 लाख कमाया. मैं बोला, मैं तेरे चरण स्पर्श कर लूं बेटा जिस दिन तू जीवन में 10 लाख कमाएगा, पर जाने दो उनको. So we are not debating that. Sharad bhai, tell me 5 reasons why India will get screwed and Indian stock market will collapse. If there are none, then tell us क्या लेके पैसा बने.
नहीं आप एक बात बोलो. लास्ट 17 महीने पहले 12,000 का इंडेक्स हुआ था. वो तो व्हाट हैज चेंज सिंस देन? व्हाट हैज चेंज?
Should I respond to this now?
Yes, always.
सुनोगे मुझे? मेरा मानने वाले तो आप नहीं हो, पर मुझे बोलने दोगे तो मैं बोलूंगा.
मेरे को फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता है मानना नहीं
रीमा,
मानना.
you will be the security officer. शरद भाई बीच में कॉलर पकड़ा पकड़ी करेंगे तो सबको म्यूट कर देना. डन
सर.
तो शरद भाई, मैं इशारे में बात करूंगा, आप समझ जाओगे, बाकी लोगों का मुझे
नहीं
पता है.
वो खुला बोलो ना, क्या है उसका?
अरे पहले इशारे में बोलने तो दो, उतना गले में उतरेगा तो फिर खोल के बोलूंगा. तो 5-10 मिनट दे, बड़े लोगों से बात हो रही, खाना बाद में खाऊंगा. रुक. हाँ. सो in the early days of my career, as I ended up getting connected with every big man, तो मैं अक्सर सोचता था, यार इसका हिस्ट्री ठीक ठाक नहीं है, इसका रेगुलेटरी रिस्क है, इसका एथिकल रिस्क है, ये काम नहीं करना है, वो काम करना है, ये नहीं करना है. और बहुत साल जीवन में गुजरने के बाद अभी भी वो सवाल आते हैं मन में, पर एक सवाल उससे बड़ा आ गया. जो भी पैदा हुआ है सबको मालूम है साला एक दिन तो मरना है, पर जीने और मरने के बीच में जो चित्रकारी कर सकता है वही कलाकार. तो जितना भी स्कैम है, जितना भी कबाड़ा है, जितना भी लोचा है, अकाउंटिंग फ्रॉड चालू है, अर्निंग्स में मिसमैनेजमेंट चालू है, मीडिया मिली हुई है, ये गंदगी है, वो गंदगी है, पॉलिटिशियन का पैसा चलता है, भाई लोगों का गल्ला घूमता है. देखें तो गोबर को देखते रहो, और देखे तो गौ माता का आशीर्वाद देखो. तो मेरा आज की तारीख में नतीजा ये है, हर आदमी अपने अपने मुकद्दर का ही सिकंदर है. किसी को अक्ल मिल गई है इसका मतलब गारंटी नहीं है कि उसको अक्ल के कारण बिलियनियर बनने मिलेगा, और कोई बिलियनियर बन गया है तो उसका मतलब जरूरी नहीं है कि उसको अक्ल मिलेगी. तो बहुत ज्यादा बहस का फायदा नहीं है. जिसके जो नसीब में जो मिला मुकद्दर से, उसी को मैंने सेलिब्रेट कर लिया. जो नहीं मिला उसको सोच लिया वो मेरा नहीं था. तो कुछ लोगों ने खोटे धंधे कर लिए और जीवन भर ऐश कर रहे हैं. हमने धर्म ईमान की जिंदगी जी और हमने धक्के भी खाए धर्म ईमान के अंदर. तो एक दिन, प्लीज हियर मी आउट, ये आज के 12-15 साल पहले की बात है, जहाँ मेरे बड़े इंटेंस क्राई आउट्स होते हैं. Nobody's family can handle them, so I discovered my mechanism. I lock up my study room. I have a small Krishna also in that room. एक पैग उनका बनाता हूँ, एक पैग मेरा बनाता हूँ. क्या रे तू आराम से हंसे जा रहा है, तेरे को मेरी तकलीफ ही नहीं समझ में आती. वो फिर भी हंसे जा रहा है. बोला चल तेरे से नहीं पिया गया, तेरा पैग मैंने प्रसाद बन के पी लिया. फिर एक एक पैग लगाया. वो करता था मैं उस जमाने में. तो एक दिन मैं चढ़ गया कृष्णा पे कि भाई मेरे से ज्यादा मेहनत करने वाला मेरे को मिल नहीं रहा है, बहुत ढूंढ रहा हूँ. मेरे से ज्यादा पढ़ा लिखा भी मेरे को नहीं मिल रहा है. मैंने सारी पढ़ाई कर ली. मेरे उस वक्त के अहंकार को सुनो आप. और साला मैंने आज तक चाराना कोई का रखा नहीं, और जिसके भी साथ काम करता हूँ खाता जब क्लोज होता है इसी कारण क्लोज होता है कि उसने हिसाब में गड़बड़ कर ली और मेरा दिमाग खराब हो गया कि ये अब जो पति होके भी इसने मेरी बजाई क्यों. तो साला ईमानदार भी मैं हूँ, मेहनती भी हूँ, दिमाग वाला भी हूँ. व्हाट द फक, व्हाई एम आई सो बिहाइंड. ये सुअर के बच्चे लोग इतना ऊपर क्यों है. मैं 10-15 दिन तक लड़ता रहा कृष्णा से, और अचानक मेरे मन का जो आंसर आया, वो आंसर ये आया कि लाइफ में यू हैव ए चॉइस टू बी ऑप्टिमिस्टिक और यू हैव टू बी पेसिमिस्टिक. कि अगर मेरे पिताजी ने 4 पुत्रों को जन्म दिया, उन्होंने चारों को सेम शिक्षा दी, चारों को अपने सेम वैल्यू शेयर किए, आई वॉज लकीयर टू एब्जॉर्ब हिज वैल्यूज बेटर देन अदर पीपल. एंड वन डे आई गो एंड टेल माई फादर कि आई एम मोर हार्ड वर्किंग देन द अदर 3 ब्रदर्स, आई एम मोर इंटेलिजेंट देन देम, आई एम मोर ऑनेस्ट देन देम. तो गादी पे मैं ही बैठूंगा, ये बोलूं तो मेरे पिताजी का दिल कितना टूट जाएगा और कितना नाराज हो जाएंगे. तो जो मेरा जगत गुरु जगत पिता है उसको कृष्णा को बांस कर रहा हूँ कि मेरे को और ऊपर ला. सो दैट डे आई गॉट ए क्लियर आंसर इन माई हेड कि these 3 blessings that I have received from God, a higher intellect than average people, a higher stamina than average people, and a higher level of honesty than other people, these are already blessings. और बाप ने 3 ब्लेसिंग्स दे दी तो मैं उसको जाके डंडा करूं कि तेरी गादी भी मेरे को दे दे, ऊपर उठने की कितनी लिमिट, एक दिन बोलूं विष्णु तेरी कुर्सी मेरे को दे दे। तो जिंदगी में बहुत ज्यादा बहस और बहुत ज्यादा लॉजिक का एंड आना चाहिए। जो जैसे में मस्त है वैसा रहो, और हमारा प्यार तो है ही शरद भाई, तो आप मंदी करते रहो, मैं तेजी मंदी जैसा मेरे को समझ में आएगा मैं करूंगा। मैं मेरे नसीब के जितना कमा पाऊंगा मेरी होशियारी धरी रह जाएगी। और लाइफ के अंदर जो आया है वो जाएगा। लास्ट 2 लाइंस जो आया है, लास्ट 2 लाइंस जो आया है वो जाएगा। जिसको जैसा सूट करे वैसा करो। तो ईमानदारों के साथ काम करके भी लोग लोकल ट्रेन में बोरीवली में जा रहे हैं, और बेईमानों के साथ काम करके भी कोई ने मलाबार हिल में घर बना लिया, और कोई आदमी अपनी अपनी फिराक में अपने जीवन को जी रहा है। कौन राइट है कौन रॉन्ग है कुछ मालूम नहीं, जिसको जैसा सूट करे। और मैंने मेरे जीवन के साथ समझौता कर लिया कि मेरे पिछवाड़े में दम नहीं है, इसलिए मैं ईमानदार हूँ। बेईमानी करने का मेरे अंदर जिगरा नहीं है, और मैं इनसिक्योर था मेरी जवानी में, इसलिए मैंने इतनी पढ़ाई कर ली कि मेरे को आगे सेफ्टी चाहिए। और मैं मेहनती इसलिए हूँ कि मेरे दिमाग में शांति नहीं, मेरे को मेहनत किए बिना मजा नहीं आता। मेरे उस दिन से दुख दर्द दूर हो गए, मैंने जिंदगी से बहस छोड़ दी। मैं शेयर बाजार में क्यों बहस करूं? यू आर राइट इन योर प्लेस एंड आई एम हैप्पी टू बी रॉन्ग इन माई यूनिक वेज। मैं आप वाली गलती नहीं करूंगा, आप मेरी वाली गलती नहीं करोगे, और इस जिंदगी में हर आदमी अपने अपने हिस्से की गलतियां करेगा। तो मुझे क्षमा कीजिएगा, मुझे क्षमा कीजिएगा, मैंने आपकी बात का जवाब घुमा के दिया। ईच ऑफ अस इज यूनिक टू ईच हिज ओन।
अरे तू जवाब मत दे मेरे को, मेरा बात सुन।
बस मेरे को मालूम है मेरे को जवाब देना अलाउड नहीं है, तो चलो अब मैं चुप हो जाता हूँ।
हाँ, अगर मेरा पोर्टफोलियो
नॉट अलाउड टू टॉक। शरद भाई इज आल्सो कंफर्मिंग दिस।
यस यस, मेरा पोर्टफोलियो 100 रुपये का है। मेरा
इवन ऑन द ग्रेवेस्ट प्रोवोकेशन इफ आई स्पीक टू लेवी ए फाइन।
My short is hardly 4-5%, but 3-4 काउंटर में ही रहता है। और देखो, every person who is cynical, every person who is critical will survive in this market. ये बड़ा बड़ा लेक्चर देने से कुछ नहीं होगा। Become critical. Ask the question why it's happening, why should I do it, why आप पूछो। ये बोल दिए राजीव भाई ने कि हाथी, अरे काहे का हाथी, वो 4 स्टॉक बढ़ गया तो हाथी हो गया, बाकी का हालत तो देखो 50% डाउन है सब कुछ। और ये जो वो क्या नाम है, हाँ सुशील केडिया बोलते हैं ऑटो इंडेक्स ऊपर है। काहे का ऊपर है? कितना मार्केट कैप है ऑटो इंडेक्स का? उसके ऊपर
ऑटो इंडेक्स ऑल टाइम हाई पे है भाई साहब।
अरे ऑल टाइम हाई नहीं, ऐसा नहीं बोलता हूँ। हाउ मच इट इज? 7 लाख करोड़, 10 लाख करोड़ out of 259 trillion rupees. So you are looking at a very small portion and getting excited. Okay, about markets, never ever get excited or dejected. Be calm, quiet. वो प्रॉफिट आया तो भी सेम, लॉस आया तो भी सेम। और एक बात बोलता हूँ, अच्छे शेयर लो, अच्छा फ्यूचर बनेगा बनेगा बनेगा। बाकी सब रद्दी पड्डी लेगा ना, तुम्हारा लाइफ बर्बाद हो जाएगा। यही मेरे को बोलना है। सुशील भाई कुछ अभी टपका दो।
नहीं, मेरे को बोलना अलाउड नहीं है। रीमा ने मेरे को बोला अगर मैं आपके साथ भिड़ूंगा, अरे मेरे को फाइन लग जाएगा। आई विल नॉट रिस्पॉन्ड।
अरे लगे मैं दे दूंगा, चल।
अरे आप दे भी दोगे तो फाइन क्यों भरने का? लाइफ में दाग लगता है, धब्बा
अरे
लगता है।
चलना छोड़ना।
ना ना ना, आप पहले बुलाओगे बात कर, फिर तुम बोलोगे तू बोलता क्यों है।
नहीं ओके, तू 2 मिनट में बोल दे।
अब जब तक मेरे को दारू नहीं पिलाओगे, वो भी सिंगल मॉल्ट मेरे चॉइस की ब्रांड, तब तक मैं आपको कुछ बोलूंगा ही नहीं।
ठीक है, अब बोलना है तो बोल।
मेरे को कुछ खिलाओ पिलाओ तो मैं बोलूं, फोकट में क्यों बोलूं?
तो मत बोल, जैसी तेरी मर्जी। देखो यार, ये
वो डर के मारे मेरी को-होस्ट रीमा भी भाग गई। उसको ही मैंने सारा दायित्व दिया था कि मेरे से नहीं संभलोगे आप, वो भी देखिए आपसे डर के मारे भाग गई।
अच्छा, भाग गए।
को संभालने के लिए डीएनए चाहिए भाई।
अरे नहीं यार, मैं सीधा साधा आदमी हूँ यार।
देखो, मैं तो आपके सामने अब तभी बात करूंगा जब आप ही अपने पैसे से दारू पिलाओगे इनवाइट करके, क्योंकि उसके बाद भड़क जाओगे तो मैं बोलूंगा सॉरी भाई, दारू ज्यादा पी ली थी।
नहीं, मैं दारू नहीं पिलाऊंगा।
हाँ, हमने कॉलेज में फंडा सीखा था कि जिसकी भी फटे ने कोई लड़की को जाके बोलने में आई फाइंड यू ब्यूटीफुल, तो पहले 2 पैग मार, वो भड़क जाएगी ना तो उसको बोलने का सॉरी यार, मैंने दारू पी के कल कुछ बोल दिया था तो बुरा मत मानना। तो बस आप वैसे ही हैंडल हो गए, बिना दारू पिए आपको कुछ जवाब ही नहीं देने का है। I think we have all just gone casual now. So shall we call it a day, or it's 9:45 already? Debashish
सुशील भाई साहब, मुझे इजाजत है कुछ बोलने?
we have all just gone. Dabashish Dakka ji, you should be the last speaker and
So, sir, I am a long-term bull. Okay, I've been a long-term bull ever since I started earning money, and in the sense, but I'm also a very avid reader. So I have only bought. I was working in a job. I only bought about 15, 20 stocks over the last 20 years, and they've given very good returns. But when I actually look at it from a very long-term perspective, and if I'm a long-term bull, so my critique is on the IT sector and the banking sector. My critique is as follows, sir, that 12 years back, the Indian rupee was 50 to the rupee, and now it is 80. If it doesn't become 130, and over the last 12 years, TCS has bought back shares, which means its share capital has come down, so its earnings per share has gone up. And right from that perspective, now if the Indian rupee doesn't become 130, because as a long-term bull, I don't want it to become 130, right? Then why is TCS still a good buy? The growth rate which we saw over the last 12 years will not happen. So that's point one on IT. There are other two significant factors which I have noticed over the last 20 years, that the Indian rupee has shown extraordinary strength only 2 times over the last 20 years. Once is around the first BJP government, when it came from 55 to about 48 or 45, right? And second is around between the 2008 and 2010, when it came down to almost 38, right? Other than this, the Indian rupee has not shown strength. And the problem usually is the fiscal deficit and the current account deficit. Forget Ukraine, forget everything, right? So that is the thesis which says that why should I buy an IT stock which has a model equivalent to that of TCS? The second point is banking. Now, if you remember, sir, 2008, the financial crisis happened. I was an ICICI Bank account holder. I left ICICI Bank and shifted to HDFC Bank after the 2008 crisis. I also bought shares of HDFC Bank, and that time it was growing at a CAGR rate of 40%, which was phenomenal. If you look at the rate at which it is growing now, it is 19%. Now, what I'm trying to say is that will it grow? So, end of the day, the Nifty, forget Nifty by Diwali, sir. Maybe it'll do a new high. I'm not arguing against that. What I'm saying is that the profits of these two companies like TCS and HDFC Bank are so huge by itself that maybe the Nifty will stay stable. However, growth, I mean, the profits have to increase from somewhere. Where is that somewhere going to be is what I'm asking, because I'm a long-term bull. That is where I'm not able to understand, sir.
long-term ka discussion or Debashish ji, while I am talking, if you mute, we will not echo each other. Even I was making the same mistake.
Okay.
So Debashish ji, you are mixing two things: view up to Diwali and long-term. So both are different. And then each person has a different way of looking at things. You say कि until dollar goes to 130, TCS should not perform. My question is, forget TCS. Even a micro cap IT company, which is a genuine company, not a Jama Kharchi company, not a single IT company CFO in this country gets paid a salary to play the rupee dollar view. They are only going to project there. They're only going to make bids in rupees, but will have to place the bids with their prospective clients in dollars. And all budgets of salaries, overheads, expenses, dividends, regulatory charges, everything is run in rupees. Nobody has a mandate to play the currency desk. And if any IT company actually gave mandate to their finance department to play currencies and become a trading book, 2 का पी रेशियो हो जाएगा आईटी स्टॉक्स का, अर्निंग्स इतनी वॉलेटाइल हो जाएगी कि ये पत्थर हो जाएंगे सारे. सो दिस इज एन ओवररेटेड आइडिया. अनफॉर्चुनेटली, too much pressure from nincompoops on social media also forces a lot of learned journalists to get swayed by that idea. डॉलर बढ़ रहा है, तो आईटी कंपनी का स्टॉक तो बढ़ना चाहिए. फाड़ के सबका हलवा कर दिया ना, डॉलर बढ़ता गया और आईटी का स्टॉक जमीन में आ गया. तो देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड अ लीड लैग इन कोरिलेशन. डेटा पे ही बात करना है, लॉजिक पे ही बात करना है, तो अपने मन की लॉजिक पे बात करने वाला आदमी खाली इंटेलिजेंट साउंड करेगा. वी हैव टू स्टडी हिस्ट्री. So IT stocks typically have a 2.75 times movement versus the rupee dollar, but they will be the first ones to really go up when when actually the rupee starts strengthening. You will laugh at it, but I can show you last 40 साल के डेटा पे मैंने सारे सेक्टर्स का स्टडीज किया हुआ है. I can post it on some appropriate forum. That's a more than 1,000-page data file, and I keep on updating it. FMCGs, top line visibility, earnings visibility wale sectors move most when the time has come for the market to move most. I still do not have an economic rationale available, but एक चीज पे फोकस कीजिएगा. आजादी के टाइम पे 1 रुपए का $1 था और आज 80 रुपए का $1 हो गया. So rupee has depreciated approximately speaking 80 times. But during the period of rupee depreciation, on a long-term basis, stock market में अगर सेंसेक्स का वैल्यू 100 था 1980 में, तो one can assume back calculation में 1947 में 10 से ज्यादा उसका वैल्यू नहीं होगा. 10 वाला सेंसेक्स आज 60,000 हो गया. Stock market has grown up 6,000 times from 1947, while rupee has depreciated 80 times. For ease of calculation, ये पकड़ लीजिए, stock market has gone up 80,000 times and dollar has gone up 80 times. तो in the long run जितना भी रुपया depreciate हो रहा है, stock market फिर भी बढ़ रहा है. But in the short run, and that's where the big catch is. रीजन इसका जिस दिन पकड़ में आएगा उस दिन नोबेल प्राइज तो नहीं भी है तो किसी यूनिवर्सिटी से पीएचडी मांग लूंगा. बट लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स जिंदगी में गर्लफ्रेंड का, वाइफ का, ससुर का, डियरेस्ट फ्रेंड्स का और स्टॉक मार्केट का बिहेवियर का नेचर समझना मुझे जरूरी नहीं. उनका नेचर समझ गया मैं उसी में सुखी हो जाऊंगा. हर चीज का रीजन जानने के अंदर तो जिंदगी बीत जाएगी. बट द बंचिंग ऑफ रिटर्न्स, द मोस्ट फोकस्ड लार्जेस्ट रिटर्न्स इन द स्टॉक मार्केट फ्रॉम 1947 टू नाउ, पूरे साल भर में अगर सेंसेक्स 30% बढ़ती है तो ड्यूरिंग द 3-4 months इन द ईयर व्हेन द रूपी इज बिकमिंग स्ट्रॉन्गर, वो 30% साल की रिटर्न में से 20-22-24% रिटर्न ड्यूरिंग दोस 4 months आती है. तो एक झटके में एक साथ जो ट्रेंड आता है ना कि स्टॉक मार्केट 20% बढ़ गया, बाकी टाइम मार्केट करेक्शन में स्पेंड करता है. सो इन द शॉर्ट रन बंच्ड अप heavy returns are produced in the stock market when actually the rupee goes against the long term trend. रूपी का काम है लॉन्ग टर्म में लुढ़कते जाना, और वो इसलिए नहीं लुढ़क रहा है कि हम अमेरिकन से ज्यादा फाइनेंशियली प्रॉफिलिगेट हैं, हम इररिस्पॉन्सिबल है. अमेरिकन तो खुद की बनाई हुई कोका कोला को $3 का खरीद के एक बाटला पीते हैं. हमारे यहाँ तो 47 रुपीज की $1/2 में एक बॉटल मिलती है 500 ml की. खुद का ही बनाया हुआ माल वो 6 गुना ऊंचे कॉस्ट में. परचेसिंग पावर पैरिटी पे रूपी शुड हैव बीन, डॉलर का वैल्यू आज 20 रुपया होना चाहिए था, पर क्यों नहीं है. सबसे बड़ा दुनिया का दीवाला अमेरिका मारता है. मैं शरद भाई को छेड़ूंगा नहीं क्योंकि वो भड़क गए तो फिर पूरा स्पेस घूम जाएगा. ये फंडामेंटल को देखते देखते ने फंडा पेलते पेलते लोग मेंटल हो गए. जिसकी लाठी उसकी भैंस. दुनिया में allow me to complete this point, Devashish ji. I speak a little longer because I love to explain things, because I take care of even the lowest denominator IQ in the space. We are not speaking for ourselves, but for every participant in the place. So अमेरिका दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा घाटा मारता है, दुनिया का सबसे अग्रेसिव देश है, जिधर जाओ कारपेट बॉम्बिंग कर देता है. तो उसका तो फंडामेंटल के हिसाब से तो सर करेंसी गटर में होना चाहिए. But the kind of global manipulation that exists, last 6 months, the kind of inflation spike that came in America, डॉलर को पाताल में जाना चाहिए था. डॉलर ऊपर, वर्ल्ड की सारी करेंसी नीचे. तो जिसकी लाठी उसकी भैंस. ये मार्केट ऑपरेशन खाली मार्केट ऑपरेटर्स नहीं करते हैं. The biggest manipulators on the face of financial system are the central banks. अगर जरा से भी फंडामेंटल्स की रिस्पेक्ट होती तो गोल्ड का प्राइस 50,000 रुपया तोला नहीं, 50,000 रुपया 10 ग्राम्स का नहीं, 1.25 लाख रुपया होना चाहिए था. 1.5 लाख भी होता तो कोई बड़ी बात नहीं थी. बेशर्मों के जैसे जितना दुनिया ने टॉयलेट पेपर प्रोड्यूस नहीं किया, उससे ज्यादा डॉलर, पाउंड, यूरो और येन छप गए. ये फंडा का क्या मेंटल है? जिसकी लाठी उसकी भैंस, जिसके पल्ले पड़े जो नसीब वाला, जो जीता वो सिकंदर. और बुद्धि मिली है तो उसको चलाए बिना कोई मानेगा नहीं. पर बुद्धि से कोई अरबपति बन जाएगा या बुद्धिजीवी को दुनिया के अंदर अपने मन का चाहा प्रेम मिल जाएगा, आज तक हुआ नहीं. प्रेम मिलेगा दिल को दिल से मिलाने से, और धन बनेगा माता लक्ष्मी के मूड को समझने से. माता लक्ष्मी से बहस कैसे करोगे यार? वो विष्णु जी की पत्नी है. पहले अपनी पत्नी से तो बहस करके मेरे को जीत के दिखाओ. तो बहस करने की आदत है हमें, क्योंकि हमें इंटेलेक्ट मिला है. एंड ओशो डिफाइंड बेस्ट व्हाट मैच्योरिटी इज. And maturity, according to Osho, he gave the best definition so far, that from what I've read. I do not agree with the personal life of Osho, but that cannot become a proof, a fundamental proof, that Osho was anything less than a spiritual genius. वो उनके प्रीवियस जन्म के कर्मा होंगे, जिनके कारण इस जन्म में इतना दिमाग मिलने के बावजूद भी बेआबरू होके तेरे कूचे से निकले हम. कोई पूर्व जन्म के ऐसे संस्कार है जिसके लिए इतना तगड़ा दिमाग देने के बाद भी भगवान ने साबित किया कि ओशो के जैसा दिमाग मिलने के बावजूद, इतनी बड़ी पकड़ मिलने के बावजूद, पाप मार्ग पे ही चलोगे और लास्ट में सड़ सड़ के मरोगे. दुनिया में कहीं रहने की जगह नहीं मिलेगी. बट कमिंग बैक टू व्हाट brilliant thing Osho said about maturity is that as we learn things, as we learn this life, we lose our ignorance. A child who's ignorant is innocent. और एक बच्चा अपने पिता को देख करके, 2 साल का बच्चा डाइनिंग टेबल पे से भी छलांग मार देता है बिना डरे, विद फुल कॉन्फिडेंस कि उसके पापा उसको पकड़ लेंगे. हो सकता है स्लीपेज भी हो जाए. द काइंड ऑफ कॉन्फिडेंस a 2-year or a 3-year-old kid has, as we grow up, we don't have that confidence, because along with losing ignorance, we are losing our innocence. And having explained this, Osho then defines maturity is that human faculty by which we can reclaim our innocence. And the process of reclaiming our innocence is by getting maturity to the point of knowing what is to be ignored. तो बहस करते रहो, ये होएगा तो. अब मैं बोलूं कि अमेरिका दुनिया का सबसे दिवालिया देश है, मैं 30 साल तक डॉलर शॉर्ट करके बैठूं, मेरा लुंगी बनियान बिकने के अलावा मेरा अंडरवेयर, मोजा, चप्पल, स्लीपर सब बिक जाएगा. नंगा होके रेगिस्तान में दौड़ना पड़ेगा अगर फंडामेंटल लगा के कोई करेंसी का लॉन्ग टर्म ट्रेड कर लेगा. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि फंडामेंटल्स डोंट वर्क. वी हैव टू फाइंड आउट द फंडामेंटल्स दैट आर रेलिवेंट. When it comes to the table of nations, where it comes to central banks, if all important central banks of the world would not have accommodated America to export its inflation in the last 6 months by allowing the dollar to become stronger against all fundamental tenets of currency pricing theories, inflation parity theory, interest rate parity theory, purchasing power पे तो खैर कोई मतलब ही नहीं. अमेरिका ने 40 साल से न्यूट डांस कैबरे करके रखा हुआ है. बट मेनी ए टाइम्स हमें नाजायज चीजों को भी अलाउ करना पड़ता है. मोहल्ले में अगर कोई गुंडा आ गया तो आप उससे बहस करोगे क्या? ये कोई टाइम है क्या गली के अंदर आके गाड़ी पार्किंग करने का? गुंडा है भाई, दिख भी गया तो भाई ठीक होना, अच्छे होना. तो अमेरिका गुंडा है दुनिया का. if their market cap is 60% of the total global equities market cap. If a global crisis is to be averted, सारे सेंट्रल बैंक्स ने गोल्ड को बेच करके दबा के नीचे रखा, डॉलर को ऊपर बढ़ने दिया, और सो दैट इफ डॉलर इज हायर, 20% डॉलर ऊपर है आज की तारीख में अगेंस्ट द यूरो. तो एक यूरोपियन अमेरिका में जाएगा तो उसको 20% ऊंचा खरीदना पड़ेगा कोका कोला का बॉटल, और अमेरिका से वो कुछ भी मंगाएगा तो 20% ऊंचा है. यूरोप से कुछ भी इंपोर्ट करेगा अमेरिका तो 20% नीचा है. 40% का रिलेटिव गैप है. कितना बड़ा स्टीरॉइडल मेजर है, कितना बड़ा गुंडागिरी है. फंडा का हो गया मेंटल. देयर आर विमेन इन दिस रूम, सो आई विल नॉट स्पीक द वे टिपिकल स्टॉक मार्केट गाय स्पीक्स. पर शरद भाई, इस पे तो क्या बोलूं मैं, किधर घुसेड़ूं मैं इसके फंडा के मेंटल को. तो इसलिए फंडामेंटल्स हैव ए रिस्पेक्टेबल प्लेस अंडर द सन. Fundamentals have a respectable place under the sun, but only up to a time. जो भी चीज चले जहां तक चले वहीं तक चलाओ. So coming back and concluding, Dabashish ji, your thought process, you are comfortable with it. I am no one to comment upon it, but I find it very subjective from where I come from. You and I are from different planets, and hence you need to figure out your way. For me, TCS will give a 25% rebound in the next 3 months. That's more than enough for me to play it.
इतना सा आंसर देने के लिए टाइम लगा. क्या सोशल अमेरिका किया ये है, सीधा उसको आंसर देना यार.
भाई सबको अपने अपने तरीके से बोलने दो, जिसको जितना अच्छा लगे.
नहीं सर, ड्यू रिस्पेक्ट टू यू, आप जो कह रहे हो, यू नो, यू आर, आई मीन एक्चुअली आई एग्री विद लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स यू आर सेइंग. I mean, please try to understand the sentiment from where I'm coming from. When you talk about how you see God and you see your investment philosophy linked, I absolutely understand, or I actually emote with what you're saying, right? When you talk about US being a gangster, absolutely agree. However, sir, I'm saying is that for me, whenever I have made money is because companies have reinvented the models by which they make money, right? For instance, if you look at TCS, for instance, and why it has been a premier company is because when Infosys and Wipros of the world were failing, it reinvented the model of delivery, which I understand because I've worked 10 to 12 years in this industry, right? In the ITES industry, I understand exactly what they did. So it's not, there's no disagreement between you and me. I'm just saying is that मुझे ना नए business models emerge नहीं हो रहा, देखने को मिल रहा है, and therefore I don't know is what I'm saying.
Sushil ji, are you here? Would you want to?
Sorry, I was muted. Dabashish ji, tastes, preferences, likes, dislikes, beliefs cannot be discussed. So, we can exchange some common meeting points, and there is no one belief or taste or preference that is better than another. So, this discussion is going in the nature of whether lotus is a better flower or rose is a better flower. If you are looking for smell, rose is a better flower. But if you are looking for a flower that is dear to Goddess Lakshmi, lotus is. तो इस बहस पे यहाँ छोड़ देते हैं. Thanks for bringing up some very good points. And let's hear Pramod ji. Pramod ji, please unmute your mic. Don't
नमस्कार
ask
सुशील
questions,
जी.
tell us something.
मैं तो अभी खाना खा रहा था, लेकिन मैं आपसे खाली एक सवाल पूछना चाह रहा था, उसके बाद.
ये बहुत प्रॉब्लम है सर. ए जर्नलिस्ट इवन इन हिज बेडरूम इज अ जर्नलिस्ट. इज इट ऑलवेज? दोस्तों के साथ भी आप जर्नलिज्म कर रहे हो यार. आप भी कुछ बताया करो.
नहीं,
आप
जैसे है
अंदर
ना,
के समाचार दे देते हो.
स्पेसेज में बोलते हैं तो
आप अपना ओपिनियन दीजिए ना सर.
नहीं, तो देवी जी बोल देते हैं कि काम करो, दूसरे बेडरूम में चले जाओ, खूब जितना देर बतियाना, हमको सोने दो.
अच्छा ठीक है, चलिए, फील फ्री टू से और स्पीक और आस्क व्हाटएवर यू फील लाइक.
नहीं, आप जैसे डॉलर की बात कर रहे थे, जो वर्ल्ड मार्केट का मैनिपुलेशन के पूरी दुनिया चूल्हे भाड़ में जाए, हर जगह मंदी है, अमेरिका में भी 9 पॉइंट से ज्यादा इन्फ्लेशन है, फिर भी उनका डॉलर मजबूत है, सारी करेंसी जो है टैंक हो रही है. और अगर फेडरल रिजर्व कल को 50 बेसिस पॉइंट रेट बढ़ा दे तो भूचाल आ जाएगा दुनिया में.
कोई भूचाल नहीं आएगा. 50 बेसिस पॉइंट बढ़ाएगा तो मार्केट ऊपर जाएगा. मार्केट इज ऑलरेडी डिस्काउंटेड इट.
हाँ, नहीं, ये तो अच्छी बात है, क्योंकि मैंने पढ़ा था कि द मोमेंट फेडरल रिजर्व raises its repo rate, the world starts quaking. तो मैं आपको जानना चाहता था कि वो ऐसा कौन सा क्वेक पैदा करता है कि पूरी दुनिया हिलने लगती है उससे.
मैं शायद आपका प्रश्न पूरी तरह समझ नहीं पाया.
नहीं, मैं ये कहता हूँ कि एज ए फेडरल रिजर्व जो अमेरिकन बैंक है, अगर वो अपना रेट बढ़ाता है, रेपो रेट बढ़ाता है, तो ग्लोबल इकोनॉमी कैसे इम्पैक्ट होती है उससे?
सर, जो एक्सपेक्टेशंस होती, सी मार्केट्स, there are two things that are important for markets, the interplay of these two broad things. How is the market positioned and what actual events come? मैं एक छोटी सी आपको स्टोरी सुनाता हूँ. Actually, this is a mythical story from the book The New Gatsby's. On the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, corn was keeping trading higher and higher because the fields were dry. Rains were expected to be very bad. They were delayed. Not much rain was happening. And then a few drops of water showered on the wind, on the glasses around the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Somebody exclaimed, "Rain." Another guy said, "Oh, rain." And lots of people started exclaiming, "Rain, rain, rain." And corn crashed. There was no rain on the fields where corn is grown. There was only a light drizzle around the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. So human cognition, human perception, how the market is already positioned, if something is market पहले से ही डरा हुआ है कि 75 बेसिस पॉइंट्स हाइक आएगा और खाली 50 बेसिस पॉइंट्स आएगा तो मार्केट ऊपर भाग जाएगा. भागना चाहिए हिसाब से. मार्केट अगर पोजीशनड है कि 1 बेसिस मार्केट पोजीशनड है कि 0.5 आएगा और 0.75 आ गया तो नीचे घट जाना चाहिए, वो भी थ्योरी है. पर अगर आप महीने के तीसरे बुधवार को जब क्रूड ऑयल इन्वेंट्री डिक्लेयर होती है और अगर आप एमसीएक्स पे क्रूड ट्रेडिंग कर रहे हो, अरे 8,000 के लेवल पे तो आप 100 पॉइंट ऊपर लेने का ऑर्डर भी, बेचने का आपकी शॉर्ट पोजीशन पे आप स्टॉप लॉस डाल दो लेने का और नीचे वापस उसको लेने का डाल दो. ऐसा गजब का कबाड़ा एक्सचेंज में होता है कि पहले आपका स्टॉप लॉस हिट होगा और उसके बाद आपकी शॉर्ट पोजीशन बन जाएगी और मार्केट ऊपर चला जाएगा. तो जिसकी लाठी उसकी भैंस, कैसीनो का गेम है, ये कैसीनो की टेबल है. थियोरेटिकली वी शुड ऑल बी मेकिंग एन अजम्पशन, इस संसार में सफिशिएंट रेगुलेशन है, रेगुलेटर जिम्मेदार है, वो न आलसी है न मिला हुआ है. पर कितना भी विरोध कीजिए अरविंद केजरीवाल का, जितने भी उसने खोटे काम किए, बेटा एक बहुत बड़ा गुरु मंत्र उसने दे दिया, सब मिले हुए हैं. तो इसलिए बहुत ज्यादा मैं इस चीज के फेवर में नहीं हूं क्योंकि ये काम नहीं करता है. अपनी अपनी पत्नी के साथ, गर्लफ्रेंड के साथ भी दिमाग ज्यादा लगाने से जीवन कष्ट से भर जाएगा. तो जो भगवान विष्णु की पत्नी है लक्ष्मी जी, उनके मूड को भक्ति करके समझिए. उस मूड के साथ तर्क वितर्क लगाने वाला व्यक्ति ज्ञानी जरूर महसूस होगा, धनी नहीं बनेगा. धनी बनने के लिए वक्त परिस्थिति, देश काल परिस्थिति के अनुसार ग्रह गणना की जाती है. सिर्फ गणित के आधार पर ग्रह गणना कीजिएगा तो गांव के अंदर में बस पंडित वाले पुजारी रह जाइएगा, बड़ा बड़ा जजमान हाथ नहीं लगेगा. सो लाइफ इज ए लॉट मोर सब्जेक्टिव than if then analysis, and if we recognize this truth of life, then a lot of things will start falling in place. I hope Pramod ji have not evaded your answer, but try telling the answer in as much
आपने सही कहा. और मार्केट में बात आई, मतलब एक ऑफ द कफ के इन्वेस्टमेंट लॉन्ग टर्म होनी चाहिए. ललित मोदी और सुष्मिता सेन को देखिए.
सर, अब इसको क्या कहा जाए कि ये लॉन्ग टर्म है या बॉन्ड एक्सपायरी डेट होने के बाद भी कूपन को अननेसेसरली पुश किया जा रहा है. जिस बिजनेस आर्किटेक्चर के अंदर गच्चू पैदा नहीं हो सकता, वहां मच्चू कर रहे हैं लोग. तो क्या खरबूजा पैदा करेंगे या तरबूजा, या इस उम्र में सिर्फ पत्थर पैदा होगा? तो सबकी अपनी अपनी सोच है यार. कुछ लोग सपनों में टीले बनाते हैं तो सच में टीले बनते हैं, और कुछ लोग खंडहर खलियान और रेगिस्तान में टीले बनाते हैं. सबको अपना अपना प्रयास करने दीजिए. अब जैसे वॉरेन बफेट ने अगर स्टॉक मार्केट के बारे में कोटेशन दी थी किसी जमाने पहले कि a man of experience met a man with money, and after that meeting the man of experience had the money and the man with the money had the experience. तो मुझे हक नहीं है किसी के रिश्तों के बारे में कुछ कहने का, पर इस उम्र में इस तरह के रिश्तों के बारे में अक्सर अंत वहीं पे आके होता है कि मैन विद द मनी met with a person with a lot of love, and after that meeting, the man with the love had the man with the money had the love, and the person with the love had the money. तो तो जैसा जो हो जाए, क्या है उसमें प्रमोद जी, सब चुस्की ले रहे हैं आप और हम भी अपने तरीके से
नहीं
ले
नहीं,
रहे हैं,
अरे भाई
पर
वो तो
सबसे ज्यादा चुस्की पता है कौन
इंग्लैंड
ले
के
रहा
एक
है?
राजा ने तो गद्दी छोड़ दी थी, दैट टू फॉर अ विडो।
नहीं,
तो
राजा महाराजाओं
दिल है कि मानता नहीं वाली बात सही होती है।
नहीं, राजा महाराजा बहुत बिके हैं। हाजी मस्तान के 27 जहाज पानी में चले गए रासलीला के चक्कर में। और मैं नाम नहीं लूंगा, इस देश के सबसे पुराने प्रकाशन को पारेख नाम की एक पुराने समय की अभिनेत्री ने, नाम आप 1 मिनट में समझ जाएंगे, आधा बिकवा दिया था। तो ये रास लीला ऐसी चीज है कि इसमें कुछ भी संभव है। पर ठीक है, अब सबको अपना अपना तरीका है, अपने अपने पैसे का सबको आनंद लेने दीजिए, सबको अपने अपने हृदय में बसे हुए प्रेम को उचित तरीके से बांटने दीजिए। आपका मन करे आप अपने प्रेम को हनुमान जी के चरणों में शनिवार को डालिए, सुष्मिता सेन की मर्जी, उसको जहां हनुमान जी नजर आएंगे वहां जाके प्रेम करेगी, उसमें हम लोग क्या कर सकते हैं? मनोज भी अनम्यूट कीजिए, मारिए नहले पे दहला। तो रीमा, आई प्रॉमिस्ड मैं नहीं बोलूंगा, पर आप बीच में भाग गए थे या ड्रॉप आउट हो गए थे, तो इसलिए मैं बोलने लग गया। स्ट्रिक्ट रेगुलेटरी बैन ऑन मी फ्रॉम टॉकिंग। रीमा, यू कोऑर्डिनेट द स्पेस।
नहीं, मेरा नेटवर्क थोड़ा इट वाज लाइक गोइंग ऑन एंड ऑफ, तो आई गॉट ड्रॉप्ड, बट इट्स ओके सर। 600 लोग आपको सुनने के लिए ही आए हैं, तो वी आर
ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, कोई मदारी है क्या? मतलब कोई मदारी का खेल हो कि मैं मदारी हूँ क्या जो मैं खेल दिखाऊंगा? वी आर हैविंग अ कॉन्वर्सेशन।
No, we are gaining some knowledge and some insights from hearing from you, and this is in all
पर देखिए,
seriousness.
वो नाराज होके शरद भाई चले गए ना।
नाराज होके नहीं गए, उनको काम आया होगा तो, पर वो
नहीं
थे।
नहीं, जब भी वो स्पेस में आए सब लोग एक साथ बोलना, निफ्टी 1000 हो जाएगी बस।
Sir, what do you want to do now? Shall we
Up to you. If anybody, there are so many people requesting, so you decide, but I should not be allowed to talk, otherwise this space will neither conclude nor get satisfied. अब मैं और नहीं बोलूंगा, आप डिसाइड कर लो बाकी लोगों के साथ क्या करना है।
so we could have some people if you're around, and yes,
I
Ravi.
am around, but you don't allow me to speak for more than 3 lines at a time.
Yes, we'll do that. We'll put a strict timer कि आपको 59 seconds के अंदर ही बोलना है. So I'm adding in some, Ravi, if you had some inputs or if you had something to say, please go ahead. तब तक I'll add in some more people. But before adding,
keep a hard stop loss by what time you want to wind up.
तो 11 तक बंद करते हैं सर.
अरे बाप रे बाप, tomorrow morning is Monday blues.
It's okay. मतलब मैं 10:30 बोलने वाली थी, but 11 would be more practical, I guess. तो let's see, like 10:30, 10:45 जब तक होता है. And I'll add in some people who have, like valid profile, नाम और profile picture ठीक ठाक है. तो if you want to come up, those are the basics. Have your proper name or a proper picture, and we'd like to have you in here. And okay, I do think I have added some people. So
Rima, finally.
yes, yes. हाँ, I was asking you to go ahead,
Sure.
please.
I'm quite surprised that Sushil sir also gets Monday blues, but jokes apart. So I'm not taking any specific names, but I was checking the result of, I think, one of the leading private sector bank, and one aspect, I think I just wanted very quick understanding, probably from Yogesh sir or Sushil ji either, that the attrition number, the employee attrition is more than 40%, and I find that concerning, not just as an employer or from a startup or organizational perspective, but frontline workers and specifically, I think mid managements are leaving the firm. They're not. It can be trust issue, it can be business, God knows what, but. What is the opinion of the panel where attrition matters specifically in banking businesses and any direct impact on stock prices? So probably Yogesh, in case if you can share your inputs, and we can also hear from Sushil sir.
I think, Ravi, it is temporary. It should settle down. It's all perhaps also other corresponding job offers, and people are not wanting to stay for long, which is unfortunate. But I think it is a temporary phase.
Over to you, Sushil ji.
Sushil ji, are you around?
I'm around, but I typically have stopped thinking on such questions altogether. You know, if I have a short-term position on HDFC Bank, despite these results, I have a simple rule for tomorrow. I have a certain stop loss fixed. वो कटेगा, मैं position उड़ा देगा. But I think even after I do that, if the whole market is going to go up on the next 3 months time horizon, it's a very deeply oversold bank, and 26% उसका weightage जो bank nifty में है. So I think for any investor, this result is just a noise. The bigger story towards the end of the year will be merger with HDFC and the synergies and the value. तो 3 साल का view लेने वाले लोग. Problem with what I find really hilarious. लोग कस्में वादे करेंगे, मैं 7 जन्म के लिए तेरे से फेरे ले रहा हूँ, 7 जन्म तक के लिए मैं तेरा साथ निभाऊंगा. I am a long term investor. बट वो फिर अपने लाइफ पार्टनर के साथ नुक्ताचीनी चालू कर देंगे. शाम को आप किसके साथ थे, संडे को आपने किटी पार्टी में कितने पैसे खोए. So if you are a long term fundamental investor and you are going to react to every piece of news and every outcome, then how are you truly a long term investor? So stop claiming you are 7 जन्म के फेरे लिए आपने, 7 साल के लिए स्टॉक खरीदा है, 3 साल के लिए खरीदा है. चित भी मेरी, पट भी मेरी, और उस चक्कर में कुछ भी नहीं. So I really don't believe these questions will make anybody wealthy. I'm sorry, Ravi, and this is my personal belief, and I cannot make money by such questions. So I've stopped asking these questions to myself. और जो सवाल मैं समझता ही नहीं, मैंने मेरे सिस्टम में से हटा दिया इनको, तो I will be a very bad person to answer them. My answer will not help you at all.
No, sir. Totally understood. I think I'll tell you where I was coming from. So not just listed companies, but also legacy companies and startups. I'm someone who is number driven. So I do keep a track on the total number of.
अरे सर जी, नंबर ड्रिवन एक स्टैटिस्टिक्स के प्रोफेसर थे. ससुराल से निमंत्रण आया, 3 गो पुत्र थे उनके, 3 गो पुत्र. बड़े लड़के की हाइट थी 5 फुट, छोटे लड़के की हाइट थी 4 फुट, और मझोले लड़के की हाइट थी 4.5 फुट, और बीच में को नदिया पड़ी. अब पुलिया टूटी रही, तो पंडित जी घुस करके नदिया में नाप लिए कि सबसे गहरा जो पॉइंट है वो 4 फुट 4 इंच आता है. स्टैटिस्टिक्स के प्रोफेसर थे, तीनों बेटा का एवरेज कर लिया हाइट का, और तीनों का मिला के एवरेज हाइट आ रहा है फलना फलना. तो 4.5 फुट मेरे तीनों बेटों की मिला के हाइट आ रही है, और 4 फुट 4 इंच सबसे गहरा पॉइंट है. बोले टेंशन नहीं बेटा, स्टैटिस्टिक्स का पंडित हूँ, चलो रास्ता नलिया पार करो. पार गए तो मालूम पड़ा सबसे छोटका बेटा पानी में बह गया. तो numbers, like all our intellect, we all intelligent people have an additional piece of work to do. जो जानता है कि मैं बुद्धू हूं, वो ज्यादा सुखी है, क्योंकि वो बुद्धि लगाएगा ही नहीं. तो गहरे पानी में तो वही जाके गिरेगा और डूबेगा जो अपने आप को तैराक समझता है. आई एम नॉट डिसमिसिंग यू एट ऑल. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट माई शॉर्टकमिंग. मैंने जिंदगी में कुछ टाइप के खतरों को लेना बंद कर दिया है. तो बुद्धि को जरूरत से ज्यादा चलाना, दिमाग को जरूरत से ज्यादा चलाना बहुत खतरनाक होता है. मैं इन सवालों के जवाब ढूंढ नहीं पाया बहुत बहुत कोशिश करने के बाद. तो माई परस्यूट इज ओनली इन एनलिस्टिंग क्वेश्चंस which are possible to be answered, and those that cannot be answered, I do not keep on consuming my head with them. वो लड़की मुस्कुराई तो वो मुझे प्यार करती है या मेरे बगल वाली सीट पे बैठने वाले को प्यार करती है, ये सवाल मैंने कॉलेज में ही सोचना बंद कर दिए थे. तो मैं देखिए बड़ा भोला भाला इंसान हूँ, मैं आपके जितना सोच नहीं पाऊंगा, क्योंकि ये सोचने से मेरा नुकसान हो जाता है, फायदा नहीं होता है. पर अगर आप इतना दिमाग लगा के कुछ फायदा कर सकते हैं तो आप करिएगा, तो हमको भी सिखाइएगा.
नहीं, थैंक यू सर. आई थिंक वो निर्वाण वाला टेक अवे है, बट रीमा जी,
Point is focus on what Osho said, don't focus on the Rasleela he did. Maturity is in realizing what is worth ignoring.
Wow, this I think this should be quoted with proper.
वो ओशो का quote है, attribute it to him.
बिल्कुल,
But only focus on what he wrote in his books. Don't focus on what he did. वो try करोगे तो बहुत बुरा हाल हो जाएगा.
नहीं, totally makes sense, sir. I think.
और सोचिए उतने ज्ञान के बावजूद ओशो महाराज ने क्या कर डाला। तो बुद्धि जो है ना, मेरा रिक्वेस्ट है हाथ जोड़ के, बुद्धि like everything in human life has an optimal, and pushing the envelope too far, even if that envelope has a name called intellect, is not going to help. We all need to optimize our time, our resources. We all need to choose what we are looking for in life, and we should stay focused only on looking for what means our own self-actualization. Your happiness will not become mine, mine will not become yours. Each of us is distinct. Beyond a point, all debates are trash.
Thank you, sir. I think thought provoking for sure. Rimaji, we have I think 3 new speakers. We can speak.
Yes, yes. Um, but we got some really good quotes in between. ये काम आएंगे बाद में. Note करके रखना पड़ेगा, I think. So anyway,
वो देखिए, हर महापुरुष को कोट उसके मरने के बाद ही किया जाता है। अभी मेरा 20, 25, 30 साल जीने का इरादा है, तो अभी कोट वोट कुछ मत बनाइए।
well, okay.
और जीते जी कोई भी महापुरुष नहीं होता, तो कोट वोट नहीं। लेट्स बी ऑल फ्रेंड्स, लेट्स ऑल हैव गुड फन, सो दैट वी हैव दिस स्पेसेस रेगुलरली। ये कोई पॉलिटिकल पार्टी का एनुअल फंक्शन नहीं है, किसी कॉलेज का फंक्शन नहीं है। नोबडी इज अ चीफ गेस्ट, वी आर ऑल फ्रेंड्स। इट्स अ रिक्वेस्ट, लेट्स ऑल बी वेरी इजी विद ईच अदर।
Perfect. So we have 3 new people. तो I think these मतलब यही last होंगे, फिर next space में कभी फिर कर लेंगे, because we have stretched it like too
अरे
far.
आते ही जाएंगे, कहीं ना कहीं आपको मोहतरमा अपना हृदय कठोर करना पड़ेगा।
हाँ, तो I'm stopping it at like now. तो we'll take comments from last 3 people. फिर आगे का बाद में देख लेंगे some other time. So I think Dr. Devendra सबसे पहले join हुए थे. So over to you, Dr. Devendra. A brief introduction about you and anything you had to add on regarding the markets at the moment.
Good evening, everyone. Actually, I'm in medical field. I'm just observing this share market or this your sector. I'm not at all a player in this, but I got a lot of interest in this. So I just want to ask two typical questions, two specific questions. सर उसका केडी साहब कुछ मजाक वजाक ना बनाए तो एक तो क्वेश्चन सर ये है कि नेक्स्ट वीक इफ आई वांट टू sell one sector. I think I want to sell IT sector because of some reasons like there's a recession chance in Europe and US, and second is dollar. Dollars position. Although you are saying that rupee going to increase, but still. Second question is which sector I should buy next week. I think I want to buy defense. जी, thank you.
डिफेंस में कौन से स्टॉक्स आपको अच्छे लग रहे हैं?
Sir, Hell and this new one, BL.
BL has given a breakout. It's come with good results. मंडे को बहुत जोर से ऊपर खुलेगा, थोड़ा पुल बैक आएगा तो लीजिएगा। हेल में बेचूंगा, अगर यहाँ से 5 रुपए और घट गया तो मैं शॉर्ट भी कर दूंगा। और आईटी में इस भाव पे, इस जंक्चर पे 100 शेयर भी बेचूंगा नहीं। जैसे ऊंचा बंद आएगा मैं लेना शुरू करूंगा। अब उसकी लॉजिक और रीजनिंग समझाने में मुझे थोड़ी सी तो टांग खींचनी पड़ेगी, तो मैं खुद की खींच लूंगा।
सर नहीं सर, बट अगर सर रेसेशन आता है वो तो आपके लॉजिक ठीक है।
अरे सर जी, हम इकोनॉमिक्स की बिरादरी इतनी काबिल है कि वी ऑलवेज प्रेडिक्ट 11 out of 10 recessions, and I don't pull anybody's legs, but a lot of serious stuff can be said in humorous ways. My role model is Mark Twain, but of course I'll never be able to replicate his humor. तो मैं आपको एक उदाहरण देता हूँ। बॉलीवुड के अंदर 1970s में और 80s में कैरेक्टर बहुत सारी मूवीज में विलेन होता था जिसका नाम था जीवन। जग्गू दादा का वो रोल प्ले करते थे। बड़े बड़े लंबे उनके दांत होते थे, गले में वो रुमाल बांधते थे और बड़ा वाला 14 इंच का रामपुरी चाकुर निकाल के नाक से बोलते थे, ये बटुआ मुझे दे दे, मैं तुझे मार डालूंगा। और जिसकी भी गर्दन पे वो बटुआ रखते थे, जितना वो घबरा रहा है, अब पुरानी मूवीज को रिवाइंड करके देखना, बहुत सारी क्लिप्स यूट्यूब पे भी मिल जाएगी। जितना उनका टारगेट घबरा रहा होता था, उससे ज्यादा गर्दन बार बार जग्गू दादा घुमा के देख रहे थे। क्यों? जग्गू दादा का धंधा मर्डर करना नहीं, जग्गू दादा का धंधा खाली चाकू दिखा करके बटुआ छीनना है। तो अगर होशियार कोई हो तो वो अपना बटुआ थोड़ी दूर फेंकेगा। जब तक वो जग्गू दादा देखेंगे यार इतना दूर फेंका है महादुष्ट आदमी, उठा के वो भागेगा नहीं, वैसे ही भाग जाएगा। तो स्टॉक मार्केट जग्गू दादा की तरह अक्सर बिहेव करता है। कोएलिसिंग ऑफ बैड न्यूज और गुड न्यूज almost always will happen at tops and bottoms. Do not react to news, utilize it. It will sound very awkward or funny to you, but let me ask you one question. Why is stock market for most people a place? भाग्य अजमाने की जगह क्यों? यो भी एक धंधा है। And anybody in any business, why should he have any hope of getting paid regularly and consistently? The only reason for which anybody can hope that he will remain permanently in business is if he can add value methodically. तो जब बाजार में डर बहुत ज्यादा हो तो आप मीठा मीठा माल लेने का काम करेंगे और बाजार को रिलीफ देंगे, और जब बाजार में लालच बहुत ज्यादा हो और आपके पास कोई मेथड है टू मेजर कि ग्रीड हैज गॉन टू एन एक्सट्रीम एंड फियर हैज गॉन टू एन एक्सट्रीम, तो आप कंसिस्टेंटली वैल्यू ऐड कर रहे हो। तो मैं ये नहीं कहता गिरते चाकू को पकड़ो, जग्गू दादा का चाकू गर्दन पे लगा हुआ इस वक्त हिलो मत, पर ये जग्गू दादा जैसे ही चाकू पीछे विड्रॉ करेगा हमें लेना है, एंड दैट आई डू यूजिंग टेक्निकल एनालिसिस। मैंने जितनी भी पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट डिग्रीज ली, दैट हेल्प मी जस्टिफाई विन ओवर एन आर्ग्यूमेंट व्हेन आई हैव नो चांस ऑफ विनिंग इट ओवर बाय सेइंग मैं इतना पढ़ा लिखा हूँ। बट जरूरत से ज्यादा दिमाग लगाने से, आप डॉक्टरी करते हो, जितनी भी जर्नल्स पब्लिश्ड पीयर रिव्यूड रिसर्च पेपर्स हैं, कॉन्फ्रेंसेस आप अटेंड करते हो, ये सारी चीजें, एक कॉम्प्लिकेटेड केस आपके सामने आता है, उस वक्त आप लाइव उसको रिसर्च करने बैठते हो, या एक डॉक्टर का जो तजुर्बा है और आप मरीज के साथ अपने इंटरेक्शन में एक जजमेंट पे पहुंचते हो। सो आई होप you don't find it funny, but I strongly believe it. I'm still very far from reaching that state, but that's what my aspiration in life is. As has been explained in our spirituality and is being acknowledged by the best of modern day psychology thinkers, our conscious mind is only driven by sensorial inputs. We don't have to dismiss our conscious mind, but the best of the decision making at in our conscious mind, at most we can express intellect. Organized data becomes intelligence, but the wisdom comes by the ability to apply that filtered data that is called intellect in diverse situations. And when we acquire wisdom, even without new sensorial inputs, we are able to apply our wisdom. So the spiritual essence of Bhagavad Gita says your conscious mind is only going to deceive you because you are a slave of your senses. We are most of the time trying to please our own senses to derive the pleasure out of our senses, and that's why our senses will all the time give defective inputs. We want to feel logically consistent and comfortable inside our conscious mind. दिमाग मिला है, बुद्धि मिली, उसको घीसना जरूरी है, उसके बिना हमें संतोष नहीं मिलेगा। मैं इतना इंटेलिजेंट हूं तो मैं कैसे नहीं बोलूंगा यार, बहुत सी जगह पे चुप रह के ज्यादा फायदा होता है। तो सेंसोरियल इनपुट्स आर म्यूटिलेटेड बिकॉज ऑफ द थ्री ह्यूमन वीकनेसेस। कितना भी इवॉल्व्ड इंसान है, until and unless he has become a monk, every human mind loves to possess, loves to control, loves to prove its superiority. And because of these three primordial human shortcomings, our conscious mind is most of the time going to make us act on noise. So high skill is what? Please allow me to say this. There are 4 stages broadly of knowing things. When somebody does not even know what he doesn't know, he is ignorant. When a man starts knowing what he doesn't know, he is curious. When a man knows what he knows, he has received training. But when a man has practiced this training so much that he no longer needs to remember what he knows, then he is truly skilled. गाड़ी चलाते वक्त कॉन्शियस होगे, एक्सीडेंट हो जाएगा. While cooking, if you start tucking the thermometer in the boiling oil, कि टेम्परेचर रेसिपी बुक में लिखा है 80 डिग्री टेम्परेचर होने के बाद ही पकौड़े फ्राई करना, पूरा मर्क्यूरी टूट के फैल जाएगा. And when indulging in any loving relationship, if you are going to do it consciously, instantly your partner will smell it in your, sense it in your breathing or in your eye contact. Why are you so conscious? Why are you not comfortable? So Let's not get so obsessed with our sensorial inputs. Twitter, Facebook, television, newspaper. I'm sorry, there are journalists here who will feel offended. Do read the editorials of unbiased journalists. Those who have a propaganda, avoid those. Select कौन सा editorial पढ़ना है. News को पढ़िए, दुनिया का समाचार जानना है, news पे react मत कीजिए. Most of the time in the food chain of information, in an information hierarchy, news will come to the headlines when it's losing relevance. You seldom find the world changing with a headline. You seldom find the world changing with a headline, and that's a rule in stock markets. So I request Devendra ji, I'm not at all trying to make mockery, but 2 दिन रुक जाइए. अगर आईटी के स्टॉक्स घूम जाएं तो जब तक ऊपर बढ़ते रहें बेचिएगा मत. 2 दिन रुक के बेचिए. हो सकता है सोमवार से आईटी के स्टॉक घूम जाएं. देखिए. रीमा, you will have to anyhow
हाँ
mute me. मैं बोलते ही रहूंगा और ये स्पेस खत्म नहीं होगा.
हाँ तो we'll take a last
सर
speaker.
आपकी वाणी में बड़ा वो है ना, क्या बोलते हैं, खिंचाव सा है.
मेरे ससुर जी भी यही बोलते थे जीवन पर्यंत कि इसकी जीप पे सरस्वती बैठती है. मेरे को गुमराह करके मेरी बेटी मुझसे छीन के ले गया.
आपने बोला नहीं मेरे से बढ़िया मिलता क्या.
अब वो बोल देंगे तो गृह युद्ध हो जाएगा. चुप रहना बेटर है.
We can hear from Lata ji, Rima. She's waiting.
लता जी,
लता जी का प्रोफाइल में लिखा है शी इज एन इन्वेस्टर. शी कैन थ्रो सम लाइट. लता जी,
I
you are
have had
most
some
welcome.
prior interactions with her on tweets. She is looks like a spiritually centered person, but will not describe people today. Will speak on the issues.
Yeah, hi. Sushil, it's lovely talking to you. And listening to you is even more fascinating. I find you as a great public speaker, and I really think you should take
हाथ
that
जोड़
up.
के वंदन है. हम स्पेसेस पे मुद्दों पे ही बात करेंगे.
Aji,
म्यूचुअल लव, अफेक्शन,
this
हेट्रेड के लिए we should meet face to face.
no problem. That was just
Because
introduction.
everybody may not appreciate this consumption of time. So to be
Yes.
even sensitive to those who will only lurk around and never contribute, we will still be sensitive to their needs. Let us economize on time. I hope I'm not sounding rude. I appreciate your very kind attitude towards me, but let's together be kind to everybody else, even those we should be kind to who will never contribute and will only pick up some food from here.
Yes, I agree. My question was about you had quite a long, lengthy talk on the American economy and the American dollar and the way it's being shored up. I was wondering whether the government's recent move that we should be dealing with other countries in the Indian rupee, how long this would take, and would that affect our currency stability?
I'm so sorry. I was just requesting my cook to start heating the food. Will you please not mind repeating the last 3-4 lines?
No, I was just talking about, you were talking about the American dollar and the way it's been, artificially propped up. And though it deserves to be quite low, considering they've got 9% inflation and all that. But I was wondering whether the Indian government's recent move to deal with other countries in the Indian rupee would make a difference, and how long this kind of thing would take, if it makes any difference.
There are many questions embedded within one. I request Rima, my good friend Rabies, should be the final speaker. He's just walked in. He doesn't. He's a very accomplished senior chartered accountant in Delhi. I should not tell people more about him until he chooses to express that. So don't be scared by the very ferocious looking DP. And Lataji, to answer your question, see, you've wrapped up a lot of questions together. All of them can be a 1-hour conversation. Rupee becoming the denomination for exports imports by RBI is a 5-year story, and that might even develop into something very massive within 1 month if the Russian crude starts getting denominated with that. वो अलग है. अमेरिका का इन्फ्लेशन अलग मुद्दा है. उसके बावजूद डॉलर को इन्होंने स्ट्रांग किया, वो उसकी दादागिरी है। और उस दादागिरी को भी अकोमोडेट करना पड़ता है। मोहल्ले में बहुत बार जो गुंडा होता है उसको आप बोल नहीं सकते वो गुंडा है, क्योंकि वो तोड़फोड़ मचा देगा तो सारा मोहल्ला टूट जाएगा। Irrespective of those two, I feel from my analysis of charts, this last 6 months phase of gundagiri, where despite very bad inflation in America, this world has accommodated a global stability by allowing the export of inflation from America into other currencies, other markets, other economies, by allowing the dollar to appreciate artificially. And if 107.26 is broken on the dollar index, then I will consider it as a final कि डॉलर का टॉप हो गया for the time being. लॉन्ग रन में 60 70 80 साल से उनकी दादागिरी चल रही है, तो इतिहास गवाह है, हजारों हजारों साल तक अन्याय चला है। एंड ट्रुथ सत्यमेव जयते, वो फिल्म के 17 रील पूरे होने के बाद होता है। अक्सर जिंदगी में, सिनेमा में और इसीलिए स्टॉक मार्केट में 17 रील की शोले में 16 रील गब्बर मजे लेता है, ठाकुर की आखिरी रील होती है। तो सत्य का साक्षात्कार करने के लिए फंडामेंटल पे ऑब्सेस्ड मत होइए। 16 रील गब्बर की चलेगी, 17वीं रील ठाकुर की होती है। और पूरे के पूरे 17 रील अगर आप सोचोगे ठाकुर जीत जाए, ठाकुर जीत जाए, तो जय और वीरू ने भी बहुत मार खाई थी। तो सत्य के रास्ते पे फिर बहुत छोटा सौदा करके चलिए, लॉन्ग टर्म में इन्वेस्टमेंट बन के बैठिए। एंड कमिंग टू योर पॉइंट, आई फील डॉलर इंडेक्स डिक्लाइनिंग ओवर द नेक्स्ट 6 months is nothing to do with the long term fundamentals. Dollar index rising to the current levels in last 6 months was a global accommodation. और बड़े लोग अपनी इज्जत को ढक करके 4 बड़े घराने अगर आपस में समझौता कर लेते हैं तो पूरे शहर में उसका ढिंडोरा कभी नहीं होता। समझदार आदमी को समझना पड़ता है कि डिस्पाइट these fundamentals, why did this happen? So they are all disjointed things. And very briefly on this rupee thing, बोलते हैं ना, जब जिसका वक्त आ जाए, भगवान जिसके वक्त को निर्धारित कर देता है कि वो आ गया, तो कहीं ना कहीं से परिस्थितियां बनेगी। I hope nobody finds me to be a totally mad devotee of Modi. I rather would say Modi is a phenomena sent or configured by God because India's time has come. We have become awakened people, and Modi is a reflection of our collective will to stand up to so many things. मोदी जैसे चरित्र पास्ट में भी आए होंगे, पर उनको राष्ट्र समय पर रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं कर पाया और उनको अवसर नहीं दे पाया क्योंकि राष्ट्र प्रिपेयर्ड नहीं था। तो आज ये जो सर्कमस्टांसेस बन रहे हैं, and maybe in this globe there are so many talks about Illuminati being there, or Rothschilds playing or Rockefellers playing a much larger role than even governments. We will not go to those, but there are of course very visible traces. जैसे डोनाल्ड ट्रंप को उठा के एक बार में फेंक दिया, शिंजो एब ने आके अचानक बोल दिया मैं बीमार हूं, मैं प्रधानमंत्री नहीं रहूंगा, और उसके बावजूद उसको उड़ा दिया। और नेतन्याहू को जलील करके हटा दिया गया उसकी पार्लियामेंट से, पर फिर भी मोदी बना हुआ है। तो कहीं ना कहीं ये जो मेरी पर्सनल बिलीफ है, एंड दैट कैन नॉट बी डिबेटेड अपॉन, नॉट बिकॉज इट इज माई बिलीफ, बिकॉज बिलीफ्स आर बेस्ट नॉट डिबेटेड, बट आई कैन ओनली शेयर माई बिलीफ। घास का एक तिनका भी मेरे कृष्ण की मर्जी के बिना हिलता नहीं है। तो जो कुछ भी होता है, फाइनल कॉन्स्पिरेटर इज गॉड हिमसेल्फ, एंड ही चूजेस हिज विलेन्स एंड हीरोज टू प्ले आउट द कॉन्स्पिरेसी। एंड आई थिंक अ मोमेंट इन हिस्ट्री हैज कम when the whole world will be compelled to conspire to make India great again. And then, since such a time has come, a phenomena like Modi, not merely a personality, is around. तो इतना bold step उठाया, अगर ये टाइम हमारा नहीं आता तो इस बोल्ड स्टेप पे अमेरिका कारपेट बॉम्बिंग कर देता, हमारे ऊपर सैंक्शंस आ जाते, हमारा स्टॉक मार्केट लुढ़क गया होता। इट्स सच ए बोल्ड स्टेप। तो किसको पता कि बाइडेन और पुतिन मिलके अंदर अंदर खेल रहे हैं, पब्लिक में एक दूसरे को आंख दिखा रहे हैं और अंदर अंदर मिलके दुनिया का सट्टा खेल रहे हैं। मैं एक्यूज नहीं कर रहा हूँ, बट वी कैन नॉट रूल दैट आउट ऑल्सो। तो बहुत बार होता है ना मैरिजेस ऑफ कन्वीनियंसेस, दुनिया में एक दूसरे के सामने हम सैंक्शंस कर रहे हैं, आंखें दिखा रहे हैं, क्रूड का भाव ऊपर खींचो, सारे कमोडिटीज का भाव ऊपर खींचो, और चोर बाजारी करने के लिए साइड में दोनों ने मंजूर करने के बाद मोदी जी को पुतिन ने फोन करके बोला होगा चल मैं संभाल लूंगा, सारी अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, तू कर दे। सो देयर आर एंडलेस पॉसिबिलिटीज, बट व्हाटएवर दैट बी, आई हैव अ डीप सेटिस्फैक्शन कि अगर इस पे कोई कबाड़ होना होता तो आफ्टर दिस अनाउंसमेंट ऑलरेडी ये सैंक्शन वैंक्शन चूं चप्पड़ शुरू हो जाती। तो कृष्ण की कृपा है, मुझे ऐसे समय पर ऐसे देश में जन्म दिया जहां उसका बरसता आशीर्वाद मुझे आसमान से नजर आता है, और उसकी वजह से our time has come and the world will make all goof ups to allow our share of greatness, and Modi is a rubber stamp from God कि देखो बेटा मैंने मेरी मोहर लगा दी, एक स्थित प्रज्ञ व्यक्ति को भेजा है। तो जिस देखो, चलती का नाम गाड़ी, खुलती का नाम साड़ी। इंडिया की गाड़ी चल रही है, अभी हमारी साड़ी खुल नहीं रही है। So I'm sorry if I answered it right or wrong. I want to hear Rabi's, and I will allow only no more speakers remark. Let him have the final word.
Thank you, Sushil. Hello.
बोलिए बोलिए।
Thank you very much.
दिल खोल के बोलना, दिमाग का ऐसे भी किसी स्पेसेस में कोई काम होता ही नहीं है।
Kedia ji, first of all, I must congratulate you that your speaking skills are much better than your chart readings. I don't know if it is.
I do not know which one is a compliment and which one is a criticism.
Okay, which one is a complaint or which one is a compliment? But
but please allow me to share this joke quickly. Last joke from me. Marilyn Monroe wrote to Albert Einstein, "How nice it would be if we could get married." And you know what Einstein wrote back to her? Yeah, I know the outcome. The kids that we will produce will only be as intelligent as you and as good looking as me. So I don't know, Rabi's, which of the two statements you made was at all a compliment, or both were like this Marilyn Monroe and Einstein story?
Let that be a hidden thing, and let people guess. But एक चीज के लिए मैं आपको और ज्यादा congratulate करना चाहूंगा कि that you, despite you are a blue tick guy and you are a public figure, you don't mince your word and you say what you want to say rather than saying the things which are politically correct. So ये तो आपकी प्रशंसा के दो शब्द हो गए। उसके अलावा अगर मैं आपके
मतलब आप ये कह रहे हो बुढ़ापे में यशवंत सिन्हा बनने वाला हूँ?
एक मिनट, उसमें कौन सी देर है अभी? आप बन चुके हो।
अरे यार ले ली ना फिर।
देखो, उतारने के लिए मत बोलना, मैं बहुत ज्यादा उतारूंगा नहीं तो, इसलिए
अच्छा मैं चुप रहता हूँ। I agreed to be quiet.
लेकिन मेरे फाइनल वर्ड्स नहीं होंगे सर। मैं तो सिर्फ 2 या 3 लाइंस बोलूंगा जो मेरी लिमिटेड नॉलेज एंड अंडरस्टैंडिंग है। व्हाट यू हैव स्पोकन इन
मार्केट में भी बताना अपना व्यू।
हाँ, मार्केट पे बोल रहा हूँ सर। व्हाट यू हैव स्पोकन इन लास्ट 3-4 minutes, I agree 90% of those things, and I would like to add a few things which might have been spoken before I joined this space. That you can love India, you can hate India, but you can't ignore India. अब इंडिया वो नहीं है जिसको आप इग्नोर कर सको। We are not a third world power, but we are a power. We are a power that now we can't be dictated. Rather, we can dictate. And as केडिया जी rightly said, कि अगर इनको कोई सैंक्शन करने होते तो कब के कर दिए होते। और उसके बाद मुझे बताओ कि यूएसएसआर
ये भी कह सकते हो ना कि मोदी इतना घोर सियाना है कि अगर सैंक्शन होने की कोई चांस रहती तो वो स्टेप ही नहीं उठाता। मोदी पहले होमवर्क कर लेता है।
अब मैं एक बात बताऊं, इतने सारे डिस्टिंग्विश्ड गेस्ट भी बैठे हैं। आई डोंट वांट टू यूज दोस वर्ड्स लाइक घंटा एंड दिस एंड दैट।
अरे बोल लो यार, अब स्पेस का कंक्लूडिंग पार्ट है। स्पेस का कंक्लूडिंग पार्ट है। कोई भी रेसिपी, कोई भी खाना जब बनता है उसमें सारे मसाले आने चाहिए। आपको चाट मसाला डालना है तो आप डाल लो, कोई दिक्कत नहीं।
घंटे का फर्क नहीं पड़ता किसी सैंक्शन से, ध्यान रखना। अगर तेल ये नहीं देगा तो तेल रशिया दे देगा, रशिया नहीं दे देगा ईरान देगा। तो बाकी
और अगर कोई सा ही नहीं देगा तो मोदी इन सारों का तेल निकाल लेगा।
तो बाकी मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग इज what I have learned during last couple of decades, and especially in the last 1 decade, that India is both a producing economy as well as a consumption economy. So we are self-sufficient. If we are left on our own, we will continue to progress. And as Kedia ji rightly said, अब जो है ना, किसी से कोई डरने की बात है ही नहीं कि ये सैंक्शन और ये सब. एंड to the I won't make the concluding remark. Of course, I would like KDJ to make that. I am no one, as
नहीं भाई, तुम बिंदास, तुम भाई हो, मित्र हो, जो दिल में आए बोलो.
नहीं नहीं, मैं बोलूंगा कि हमारे पास अगर आप कोई में से पूरे ऑडियंस में से कोई एक भी उठ के बता दे कि हमारे पास क्या नहीं है, तो मैं उस पर
हमारे पास पप्पू भी है, केजरीवाल भी है, सब कुछ है हमारे पास.
हमारे पास क्या नहीं है, तो मैं डिबेट कर सकता हूँ उस चीज पे कि हमारे पास सब कुछ है. हमारे पास सब कुछ है और हमारा कोई कुछ भी नहीं बिगाड़ सकता. वी आर नाउ a force to reckon with. We इग्नोर करना दूर की बात है. अब we are among the front sitters and अब जो है ना, और अगर आपने देखा होगा कि अब FII कितना भी माल बेच लें, कितना भी कुछ कर लें, अब उसका कुछ भी वो नहीं हो रहा. We have our own savings. We have a young population which has come into the this market and which understands the market, which is slowly understanding the market. I won't say which understands the market. No one is expert in this market, but ये बात बिल्कुल पक्की है कि ऐसे कोई, जैसे पहले होता था आज से 5 साल पहले या 10 साल पहले, कि भाई कोई डिक्टेट कर लेता था हम लोगों को, तो वी आर नॉट देयर टू बी डिक्टेटेड बाय एनीवन. रादर a time would come, and that too in very near future, that we would be dictating them, rather rather be neutral or to be dictated. So that is what I wanted to say.
Lovely feelings, thoughts, and way you expressed it. Thanks for coming in, Rabies. 15 अगस्त को भी आपके ये शब्द एज इट इज रिप्ले किए जा सकते हैं और सबका सीना गर्व से चौड़ा हो जाएगा. एंड रीमा, इज इट ओके इफ आई डू अ ब्रीफ कंक्लूजन इन अबाउट 2 minutes?
यस सर. 11 बज ही गए, मैंने बोला
Sugriv
था
Meena
जल्दी
ji,
कीजिए.
Sugriv Meena ji, it's our misfortune that we are unable to stretch this space and we will miss hearing your views. He is a senior IRS officer, alumnus of IIT Delhi and IIM Calcutta, always cogent in his thoughts and expression. And I'm sure there are so many more other speakers who requested to speak. If we are unable to hear you, we are losers, but somewhere, we all have to choose what we need to lose, for we need to all regain our sleep. So I'll conclude here, and I do look forward to exchanging thoughts with anybody we could not hear today at any other next space. And the topic today was, I wanted to stir up Twitter a bit with too much of bearish outlooks getting shared and too many people espousing horrifying ideas. And we've discussed that. My primary thesis is this one way rise of the dollar kept all asset markets suppressed. Commodities came down because of that. I'm talking about base metals, natural gas. Stock markets world over have underperformed. And after a swooning rise of disbelief from the darkest hour that mankind saw in the last few hundred years, मार्च 2020, 25 मार्च को लॉकडाउन आया, 23 मार्च को स्टॉक मार्केट बॉटम हो गया. स्टॉक मार्केट इज बोथ ए वेइंग मशीन बाय विच collectively we will arrive at the weight which is worth of companies and stocks, and stock market is also a collective voting machine on what the future holds. Sometimes you use it judiciously as a weighing machine, sometimes as a collective voting machine. After such a rise of disbelief, when too much belief came in, markets naturally corrected then. We have had 9 months of correction. Index is an illusion, often managed or mismanaged for many reasons. But individual stocks बहुत सारे ऐसे हैं जिनकी चार्ट अब चीख रही है, बच्चे की जान लोगे क्या? So If we are only going to make a business decision when everything looks good, then we are going to become the lunch of the market. No business in the world allows anyone to make money without taking some sensible risks, and the sensible risks for each are different. So any stock recommendations are worthless unless and until they make suitable cohabitation with who you are in life. So all I wanted to cajole through whoever participated on this space or will listen to this recording, इंडेक्स की गुलामी करने के लिए हमारे संविधान से हमें कोई आदेश नहीं है. Our job is to make money, and our job is to make money without making much heartburn or without getting very anxious or taking outsized risks. So I think there is a much larger risk on the head of those who are dismissive of the future completely, कि blanket head सब कुछ ठोक दो. Too many things are stacked against them, and the risk reward is more in favor of a selective bull, and there are many stocks and sectors where enough life has started. Round 1 done. मार्च 2020 की तेजी अक्टूबर 2021 तक हो गई. 9 महीने का करेक्शन हो गया. Everything will not go up together, everything will not come down together. In the bleakest moments in the last 3 months, auto stocks have produced the smartest returns. And like the Jaggu Dada of 1970 Bollywood movies, जब जब बटुआ छीनने के लिए जग्गू दादा चाकू गर्दन पे लगाएगा, लड़ो मत उससे, उसका टाइम वेस्ट करवा दो, बटुआ 10-12 फुट दूर गिरा दो डर के मारे. He will be scared of the police too. Market will never kill anyone. Market will only scare. And our job is to only carry so much money in our wallet that Jaggu Dada will not feel like stabbing us. Control your exposure. Do not become part of the herd thing. I'm not saying Nifty fad jayega. Nifty may keep on rising slowly with lot more noise. But too many sectors and stocks which merit attention now. Don't go whole hog bull. But at the same time, don't participate in this panic mongering. That also happens with some agenda. And final point, 30 years ago when I began my career, finding out more information than my peers was a edge. But inside an obscene high of information age that we are at, getting more information today is no longer an advantage. Even if you seek no information, आपको पकड़ पकड़ के information ठूंसी जाएगी. With the digitization of the whole universe, information has become a harassment. And the true skill today is what Osho said about maturity. You reclaim your innocence by learning what is to be ignored. सब कुछ पी जाऊं, सारे ट्विटर स्पेसेस में चला जाऊं, सबको ट्विटर पे फॉलो कर लूं, सारे टीवी चैनल देख लूं, सारे न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ लूं, सारी रिसर्च रिपोर्ट पढ़ लूं, तो बावड़े हो जाओगे. So the whole tact now, not just in financial markets, but even in our own lives, we all need to strike the right balance between how much we will allow information to harass us and how much of it we will ignore. And if you will even focus on this for 5 minutes tomorrow morning, you will become curious to start figuring out what stocks to buy. Lowest भाव में नहीं लोगे, 5% ऊपर लोगे, तो थोड़ा थोड़ा माल लीजिए. मुझे लगता है दिवाली तक अच्छे पैसे बनेंगे in a lot of stocks and sectors. I may be wrong, and I will get out with my stop losses, and I would recommend each person to keep some kind of stop losses and risk measurements. कल को और कोई दुनिया में कबाड़ा हो गया, संसार चेंज हो गया, तो फिर से मिल लेंगे किसी स्पेस पे. बट until and unless पुतिन का बाप नहीं पैदा होता इस धरती पे, तो जो होनी थी एक बार दुनिया के साथ होली. अच्छे दिन मोदी जी तो 8 साल से ला रहे हैं. स्टॉक मार्केट में मेरे को लगता है अच्छे दिन यहाँ से लेके दिवाली तक फिर से आ जाएंगे. Thank you very much for your time, patience, contributions, questions, comments, smileys. I hope the next space will have greater participation. And thank you, Ravi. Thank you, Ravi Sutaria ji. Ravi Sutanjani. Sorry. Rajiv ji, Dr. Devendra Mavai, and so many other speakers who came and went. And Pramod ji, many thanks for you for your time. And I will never be able to express enough thanks for Rima. I seldom appreciate or say good things about people on their face, and not just because she has the DP of a good-looking girl, but I found her only in a space last week. She was hosting with somebody else, and I found her very, very effective. And so I requested her today be my co-host because I will tend to overspeak. She did a good balancing act. I wish I would have let her do it more. And as a measure of appreciation, and I hope I can add some value back, I think a lot of us who organize spaces, we should suggest to Rima she should charge some reasonable fees to become a co-host or a host, and nobody should work for free. She's not very interested in stock markets, but she's trying dabbling around if she can become a good content creator. So Rebis, if you really feel like you wish to do something as a reciprocation to this space, give her a bit of an upward kick on Twitter. She's really effective at doing spaces. Thank you, Rima, for your time, attention, and energy.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
हाँ, परेशान मत करना, बच्ची को बस खाली प्रमोट कर देना.
नहीं. I'm really very impressed by this space, and I'm looking forward to being.
आपकी वाली भी जो 2,000 ऑडियंसेस वाली स्पेसेस होती है ना, थोड़ी अल्हड़ सी. I will not say फूहड़ सी. I think she'll do a great job in those also.
नहीं. I have not been doing that for some time, but I would start it soon, and looking forward to see you soon.
Thank you all very much for coming in, and now I shall say goodbye and good night to all, and let's keep in touch with each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Sushil ji, for